Chapter 1067. How long will you be gone for? After a while, Sinai took a deep breath and slowly took her in his embrace as he whispered in her ear, "If it's because of political problems, I can no." Luo Qingshun softly rubbed against his shoulder before standing on her toes. "Although it's hard, I do have to disappear for a while." She knew that she was being selfish, but sometimes she felt that leaving without saying goodbye was not a selfish thing to do. Then she had to be brave. She believed that Sinai would wait for her. She also believed that their love was worth 3 years of waiting. One life, 3 years of separation, it was worth it. How long? She took a deep breath before saying, 3 years. After a while, there was silence in the air. Luo Qingshun felt Sinai's hands holding her even tighter. When she couldn't breathe, he slowly let her go. "Got it. Today is 2085. 2-1. If you don't come back by 2088. 2-1. I'll find 100 girlfriends to declare war on you." 100. You're too exaggerated. Hearing his relaxed tone, she couldn't help feeling that the pressure on her wasn't that big. She knew that Sinai was saying this to take care of her feelings, but she suddenly felt a bit moved, an inexplicable feeling. Sinai was such a domineering and proud person. She always thought that if she left for 3 years for no reason, he would definitely get to the bottom of it. But she never thought that he would just give her a tight hug and casually tell her got it. It's not exaggerated. There are more than this number of people who want to be Sinai's girlfriend. His lips curled into a bitter smile as he lovingly patted her head, as his eyes filled with reluctance. He didn't know why she left, but he knew that if she didn't say anything, she must have her reasons. Since he was the one who protected her, he should have absolute trust in her. After all, she was his girl. Why shouldn't he trust her? So narcissistic. Luo Qingshun gave a soft snort. "But you can be assured, I won't give those 100 girls a chance. You are a member of the royal family. I won't marry into the family. You should be someone from the Li family." Sinai gave a soft laugh before revealing a gentle smile to her. "When you come back in 3 years, can you become my wife, Li?" "About that." Luo Qingshun pursed her lips. Her clear eyes flickered slightly, and the corner of her mouth carried a faint smile as she said, "Okay, it's a deal." Luo Qingshun never thought that this was a serious promise, but Sinai put it in his heart. "When are you leaving?" He opened his mouth slightly and looked at her as if he had eaten a calming pill. "Right away." Luo Qingshun looked at her phone and closed her eyes. She let out a long sigh and said, "Don't follow me. I can't bear to. I won't follow you." Sinai softly let go of her hand and pretended to be relaxed as he said, "It's fine as long as you don't forget our agreement. Also, you can't be late." At this moment, he didn't even have the courage to watch her leave, not to mention sending her off. "All right." She slowly stood up and walked out of the private room. Looking at Nanluo Zhe as she said, "You have to take good care of Xiao Xiao. If Xiao Xiao says that she was bullied when I come back, just wait and see." Qingshun. Chapter 1068. In the corner of an alley, she closed her eyes against the light. Time passed, and this was the first time she felt that 10 seconds was this long. An hour's time had passed so quickly. She didn't even have time to properly say goodbye before it was time to leave. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and it was a sound that came from beside her ears. It was like she could use the 1,000-mile eye that she exchanged for to see where Sinai was. His deep eyes became a bit empty as he looked into the distance, and his fingers couldn't help trembling. At that moment, she could feel the helplessness of that arrogant youth. She could also feel how important she was to him. He narrowed his eyes, the corners of his mouth twitched, and his thin lips softly uttered 3 words. "I love you." She bit her lip, and everything around her changed. This time, because she had the 1,000-mile eye skill, she could feel the changes around her with her eyes closed. She could feel the flow of people and the passing of spring and autumn. Ding! Congratulations to the host for reversing space and time. There are no space and time cracks. Your luck is off the charts. Thank you. No need to be polite. This isn't the system's credit. Luo Qingshun looked up with cold eyes and patted off the snow on her. She didn't know why, but after leaving for 3 years, a city still had this much snow in February. The snow was around a meter deep, and half her calves were covered. So cold. Luo Qingqian shivered as she headed in the direction of the Royal College. It should be noon now. Li Sinai was in his second year of high school when she left, so Li Sinai must be in his second year of university now. You're still a student? Without knowing why, the feeling of using the space and time reversal this time was different. Last time, it was more of panic and fear, but this time, it was more of anticipation. Perhaps it was the difference between 7 years and 3 years, or perhaps it was because she already had an agreement with Li Sinai this time. The weather really was cold. She turned on her phone to find a nearby clothing store, but she suddenly remembered that her phone should have already stopped working. After all, her phone belonged to this world. It couldn't be frozen in time like her. But when she picked up the phone, her clear eyes were clearly slightly stunned. There were countless messages in his inbox. Most of them were from the telecommunication company. There was still one person who would charge this phone number every once in a while during these 3 years. He didn't call his phone, but he would occasionally send a text message or two. The content of the messages was very simple. Most of them were just random numbers: 127, 311, 598, 606. Luo Qingqian didn't know the meaning of these messages, but she was very familiar with the person who sent her the messages. However, there were 3 messages that she could still understand. They were, "Happy birthday, idiot. I'm 1 year older now. Happy birthday. Next year you will be back. Happy birthday, my sister." In that instant, her eyes turned red. So this was the result of being told to wait. After a long wait, there was no response from the number. But that proud young man didn't forget to pay her phone bill every month, and he didn't forget to text her every birthday. It turned out that the passion in his heart was much warmer than the arrogance on the surface. Chapter 1069. The winter of a city wasn't over yet, so she found a store to buy a large red coat before heading to Li Sinai's university. The Royal University wasn't that far from where she was. Looking at her phone, it was Wednesday, so it should still be class time. When she came to the gate, she saw a steady stream of students coming out of the gate. The boys wore suits, and the girls wore pink dresses. It was like they were going to a grand banquet. Luo Qingqian grabbed a kind-looking girl and asked, "Is today a school celebration? Why is everyone dressed so formally?" "Yeah, you don't know." The other side said with a sweet smile, "Today is our school hunk Li's wedding. Why aren't you changing?" Wedding. She trembled and felt her hot blood instantly turn cold. What did marriage mean? What did it mean? "You're not a student of our school, right?" The other side looked over her and gossiped. "We've finally seen the mysterious bride. All of us little fans are looking forward to it." After saying this, the kind-looking girl held her boyfriend's hand and walked towards the church not far away. Luo Qingqian tightly held her phone in her right hand as her heart kept beating fast. It was a very strange feeling. It wasn't that she was sad, rather she was a bit nervous. She followed behind everyone and walked through the white doors of the church. While the security guard wasn't looking, she smoothly escaped. There were balloons all around, and there was a wedding march playing in the background. The place was filled with guests, and it was very lively. "Welcome everyone to young Master Li's wedding ceremony. We asked the guests to take their seats, and we'll enjoy a short video." The hostess was wearing a long pink dress. Her hair was wavy, and there was a big smile on her face. Since Luo Qingqian couldn't find a white chair with her name on it, she could only sit down in the last row. Looking around, she didn't see Li Sinai. She didn't even see a familiar figure. The image on the big screen was flashing. It was a cartoon. The first thing that appeared on the screen was a plane flying straight across the blue sky. Then the camera turned, and it was an airport. What entered her eyes was a clean and sunny young man. He was wearing a white shirt, a black bow tie, and a pair of large black sunglasses. He looked unruly and handsome. Walking towards him was a young girl of the same age. She was dressed in branded clothes and held a limited edition Louis Vuitton bag in her hand, just like the young man. When Luo Qingqian saw this scene, her eyes turned cold. Her originally clear eyes were instantly suffused with a faint mist. This was his and her story. His words suddenly rang in her mind. The words he had said to her before they left. As long as you don't forget our agreement, and you can't be late. So, did he plan the wedding for her? Just thinking about this made the corners of her mouth curl up unconsciously. It was just 10 seconds for her, but for Lee Sinai, it was 3 long years. What kind of feeling was waiting for him? Fear, or perhaps anticipation? What kind of obsession did he have? What kind of complete trust did he have for her? Chapter 1070. Young Masterly, Young Masterly, Young Masterly. The fangirls under the stage cheered. Whether they had boyfriends or not, Lee Sinai was their male god, the school hunk of the Royal Academy. There were all kinds of envious voices that entered her heart bit by bit. I really envy young Master Lee's girlfriend. Young Master Lee buys her chocolate cake and strawberry-flavored yogurt every day. I know. Last time I met young Master Lee at the breakfast shop, he was buying breakfast for his girlfriend. Young Master Lee normally looks cold, but he really is warm to his girlfriend. She must be a great beauty. I've heard that young Master Lee was very good to her in high school. All right. Let's not talk about this for now. The beautiful host said with a faint smile. There are a few questions for today's groom. Your 2 best friends told me to ask them. Lee Sinai gave a chuckle as a sparkle appeared in his beautiful eyes. Ask. You have to pay back the questions you ask since they are about to get married. Wah. As soon as his voice fell, the crowd cheered. Ha. Our young Master Lee really is handsome. The host continued. The first question is from our Mr. Nan Luo Zhe. He wants to ask you, are you panicking after waiting for 3 years? Lee Sinai heard this, and his shoulders trembled. In this world, Nan Luo Zhe understood him the best, his loneliness and his obsession. Of course, Lee Sinai said with a nod. After all, no one knows if the bride will appear. See, when Lee Sinai said this, everyone took a cold breath. Everyone looked at Lee Sinai without turning, not understanding the meaning behind his words at all. The host was a bit embarrassed and quickly changed the topic. The second question is from young Miss Su Xiao. She wants to ask you, why did you like that girl back then? Lee Sinai thought about this for a long time before finally giving a faint smile as his eyes fell onto a certain place under the stage. His slightly knit brows relaxed, and he said with a faint smile, It's destined. How disappointed would I be if I didn't like her? As soon as he finished speaking, he picked up a large bouquet of white roses and walked towards a certain direction with firm steps. Luo Qingshun stared blankly. She watched as the young man found her in the crowd. She watched as a layer of mist slowly appeared in his deep eyes. Seeing his slender fingers tremble slightly, she knew that he was probably very excited inside, until the young man knelt down on one knee with a rose in his hand. His eyes were full of love. His left hand held her wrist tightly and said, Thank you for meeting me. As long as she was here, 3 years of loneliness was nothing. Everything was worth it. As long as he appeared at her wedding, anything would be fine. Lee Sinai, she bit her lip. When she was about to get up, she was pulled into a warm embrace. In the next match, the audience cheered. Nan Luo Zhe and Su Xiao came out from the left and right, but she couldn't hear or see anything. It was because her eyes were blurred by tears, and it was because Lee Sinai's embrace was too warm. Suddenly, the whole world seemed to be applauding her wedding and cheering for her happiness. Chapter 1071. The wedding went very smoothly, and Luo Qingshun was stunned the entire time. Then Su Xiao told her. Since the day she had mysteriously disappeared, Lee Sinai had been preparing for this wedding. Nan Luo Zhe had asked him more than once how this wedding without a bride would end if she didn't come back. He just said with a relaxed smile, What can't end, the bride will always be her. It's just a matter of time. At most, it'll be the next life. When he said this sentence so casually, even Su Xiao, who had always been quiet, was slightly stunned. This was probably the most touching words of love that a man could say. I'm just waiting for you, don't worry. If you can't come in this life, there'll be the next life. 3 days later, at noon. It was the same coffee shop, but there was a feeling of things being the same, but people being different. Miji's final verdict is this afternoon. Su Xiao looked at Luo Qingshun and said with a bit of unease in her voice, I'm a bit scared. The Mi group's backing really wasn't casual. Even with the evidence and the pressure from the Li group, they kept appealing, and this case had been going on for an entire 3 years. Today was the final verdict of the Supreme Court, so naturally Su Xiao was very nervous. Relax. The reason why I waited 3 years is that God want me to see her being executed. Luo Qingshun narrowed her eyes and looked at the clock on the wall as she slowly said, "It's about time." In the Supreme Court's gallery, the Mi group had tried everything in the past 3 years to compensate for Mi Ji's death, but they were all firmly rejected. A life for a life, this was a natural thing. Letting her live for 3 more years was already a favor from the heavens. When she saw Mi Ji, she completely overturned the idea that she was being cared for. Mi Ji, who was standing in the courtroom, still had her clothes and hair neat and clean. But that face seemed to be twice her age. Perhaps 3 years wasn't a favor for her, but rather a kind of torture. Luo Qingshun didn't just see Mi Ji, she also saw Bai Na. That woman who used to talk about commoners and nobles now looked like an old woman with white hair. His original hostility had completely dissipated, and his eyes were filled with a deathly stillness. Until the moment the judge announced the verdict, her eyes slowly turned from dead silence to despair. This court upholds the original judgment. Mi Ji's body froze slightly as she pursed her lips and turned around slowly. When she saw Luo Qingshun again, her originally dull and still eyes were instantly ignited with a flame of hatred. "I won't let you off, even if I become a ghost." In the next second, a hoarse voice resounded throughout the entire court. Bai Na charged over at the same time and knelt down in front of Luo Qingshun, grabbing her skirt as she said, "Your Highness, I'm begging you. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll compensate you however much you want. Give Fang Mi Ji a way out. I don't care what you say." "Don't beg her." Mi Ji wildly charged over, but she was firmly held by the police. Luo Qingshun's expression didn't change at all, but her expression didn't change at all. She leaned over and helped Bai Na up before turning to leave without staying any longer. She helped Bai Na up not because of sympathy, but rather because of one sentence. Chapter 1072. The next afternoon, Mi Ji was executed. Even at the last moment, Bai Na kept begging Su Xiao to drop the charges, but Su Xiao didn't agree in the end. It wasn't because of Luo Qingshun, it was her own decision. Xiao, I feel that you've changed." Luo Qingshun narrowed her eyes and revealed a faint smile. She was surprised before pursing her lips into a smile. "If I knew that I would meet Nen Luo Zhe in this life, I would have worked hard to become the best version of myself and be a match for him." In her eyes, Nen Luo Zhe's appearance was like a ray of light that shined into her heart without any warning. "In my eyes, Su Xiao is the best girl." Luo Qingshun looked at her with a faint smile. "No." She shook her head. Nen Luo Zhe saw the car not far away. She turned around and looked at Luo Qingshun. The setting sun slowly fell down her face with a golden glow that looked very beautiful. She gave a soft laugh as she looked at her and said, "If there wasn't Luo Qingshun, there wouldn't be the current Su Xiao. Thank you for saving me." Su Xiao's final words were very soft, but Luo Qingshun still heard it. After she left, Su Xiao had a strange dream. She jumped down the building, and 3 minutes after she landed, everything froze and strangely moved back. Then, the radiant young girl appeared behind her. Like a knight, she saved her from the edge of death. Over time, she gradually understood that it wasn't a dream. It might have been her in another world. In this life, they lived happily until the sun set in the west, until their hair turned white. That day, the sun was shining and Luo Qingshun was rocking back and forth in the rocking chair. It was like she suddenly thought of something and kept calling Li Sinai. "I remember that you put your LV bag in the innermost drawer of the study. Go and take it out." "LV bag? Right, it was at the airport." "Was it at the airport?" I told you you're old, but you don't believe me." Li Sinai trembled as he walked into the study. He took out a large bag from the innermost room, which was the bag they had accidentally exchanged back then. It had been a long time since he last saw her. It turned out that she had been hiding here. These letters were all signed by one person, someone from afar. This person actually did not exist. However, before he met her, he would often have a strange dream. In his dreams, he played different roles, but he kept meeting the same person. In his dream, he could clearly remember that person's appearance. But when he woke up, he had no recollection of it at all. Over the years, the scenes in the dream kept repeating over and over again. He began to feel that something was wrong, so he decided to write down these stories and send them to her in the dream. But Luo Qingshun never knew about this. She always thought that the masterly Sinai wrote to was the girl he couldn't forget before. These letters, who did you write them to? Luo Qingshun gently picked up an envelope with her right hand and looked at him with some jealousy. I don't know. He shook his head and hugged her before saying in a gentle voice, "It's been too long. I almost forgot what I wrote." Humph. Luo Qingshun gave a soft snort and opened the envelope in her hand. There were only a few lines of words inside, but she could understand them. Chapter 1073. I bet that you will fall in love with me. So let me win this once, all right? I can even lose to you in the future. Nan Luo Zhe, the first time I saw Su Xiao Xiao, I didn't feel that she was that dazzling. I just felt that she was a very normal girl. She was standing in the corner, in the most inconspicuous position. I really noticed her in the dark alley. She was squatting on the ground without saying a word as her hands tightly held her head, slightly trembling. People kept insulting her and throwing mud at her, but she didn't seem to have any plans of looking up or agreeing to their requests. Without knowing why, there was a strange impulse in my heart at that time. That impulse directly affected all the rationality in my head. At the same time, I also saw another young man standing not far away. I knew him, F-Class's hunk, Su Jing. I could even see a different emotion in his eyes. This emotion suddenly made me feel very uncomfortable. So after that, I appeared in front of Su Xiao Xiao. In that moment, I felt that I was the most dazzling person in my life, because I never thought that I would fall in love with a girl at first sight. She was very cautious when she sat in my car, as if she was afraid that her clothes would dirty my car. When I looked in the rearview mirror, I suddenly felt a very pained feeling. The paranoia in my heart made my head heat up, and I stepped on the gas, using all kinds of dazzling skills. As expected, her face was filled with panic, and she couldn't speak in fear. I felt a special sense of accomplishment at that time. Then we played a game of truth or dare. Actually, I wanted to ask her some straightforward questions, but I wasn't willing to do so. She was a very, very obedient girl. This was my first time interacting with a girl like her, so I was a bit nervous. Looking at how she fell asleep after a single glass, I told myself that I would never let her touch alcohol again. Little girl, why would she drink alcohol? Speaking of the frustration of my life, it was definitely her. She was worthy of her name, Su Xiao Xiao. I thought that after the 4x100-meter race, my relationship with her was set. After all, after I picked her up in front of everyone, the entire school knew that I liked her. When I really liked someone, I didn't want to hide anything. She was her. She wouldn't change because of anything, whether it was money, identity, or status. I kept telling her that the two of us were together because I was Nan Luo Zhe and she was Su Xiao Xiao. Nothing else, until that day, her grandmother passed away. Only then did I realize that I hadn't entered her world from the beginning to the end. Luo Qingshun said that she had a special kind of depression, but I didn't believe her. It wasn't until I saw her jumping off the building with her grandmother's urn that I realized how fragile her heart was. I always thought that she was just timid, but I didn't know that there was no light in her world. How I wished that I was the light that shone into her heart. No matter how much time it took, as long as she could stand by my side in her wedding dress, then all my efforts would be worth it. I suppose that's what the old days told me. A very special girl will appear in my life. She won't be dazzling, she won't shine. Chapter 1074. March, waiting for the snow to turn into rain. It doesn't matter if it's cold, I'll wait for you here. Lisi and I, the first time I met her, I really had the urge to roll her into a ball and throw her out. After all, there were many people who liked me, and there were many people who wanted to approach me, but she was the first one to approach me like this. Although I found out later that she didn't want to approach me, I still felt a bit uncomfortable. Our story didn't have many ups and downs. The moment I fell in love with her on the field, her kiss that lit up my eyes really made my heart skip a beat. I never thought about what kind of girl could attract a person like me. But when she kissed me, there was only one thought in my mind. Kiss back, kiss back, kiss back. These 3 words filled my blank mind, but I still did it. I liked the feeling of being evenly matched, so I didn't understand why Nan Luo Zhe liked Su Xiao Xiao. In my eyes, the feeling of being strong attracted me the most. Even if she wasn't a noble, I could still feel how strong she was. In front of those so-called nobles, she had always acted high and mighty. Except for one time, she almost lost our couple's rings. Although I was very angry, when I personally put it on for her, I could feel a bit of excitement in my heart. She really was special. It was like confidence was always at her fingertips. No matter what happened, she never backed down and moved forward bravely. That was a 3-point shot. It was simply heaven-defying. I didn't like the way the boys looked at her back then. She only belonged to me, whether she was good or not. The owner of the diamond ring was my destiny. Of course, I learned in the end that being evenly matched, being strong against strong, none of that was important. Actually, as long as she could come back at the agreed time, it would be enough. 3 years was nothing but a fleeting moment. Our story slowly grew old, arguing with each other. But of course, I was the one who admitted defeat in the end. After all, she was the cutest little wife in our family. Later on, when the 4 of us were having a meal, Nan Luo Zhe said something to me. She really doesn't seem like your wife. I was so angry that I wanted to throw a punch at him, but he quickly followed up with his next sentence. I miss your daughter so much. After listening to him, I was silent for a while, then nodded numbly. When 2 people have been together for a long time, the way they interact with each other will change qualitatively. For example, she became more and more dependent on me, and I became more and more doting on her. She didn't like outsiders at home, so no matter how big our villa was, it was just the 2 of us. She watched TV while I was cooking. She played games while I washed the dishes. While I was doing the housework, she was responsible for stepping on the back twice to show that she was being disruptive. Then, I would carry her directly to the sofa and push her down without saying a word. Many of my brothers asked me how I felt when the young master became the family's little expert who took care of his daughter full-time. Did I get tired of it? I thought for a long time and gave him the answer in my heart. I don't know what the future will be like, but at least I'm enjoying it now, and I don't feel bored. Chapter 1075. Dang, 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 dang. The annual small theater was starting again. The system was also very excited. This time, it was interviewing our demon school hunk and arrogant male god, Li Sinai. Let's not talk too much. Let's enter the most passionate 10-question and answer session. Let's welcome young Master Li's male god. Ask. The system silently said in its heart. As expected, the system doesn't like arrogant blue kids at all. Quickly ask. Li Sinai impatiently looked at the system that didn't exist. Then the system was terrified. First question. What is your first impression of our host? A cute, gentle, and understanding beauty. Who would believe you? Second question. Who is the person you hate the most in this world? Miji. After all, that so-called fake noble had made her leave him for an entire 3 years. It wasn't long, but it wasn't short. But for him, it was a kind of loneliness that no one could understand. The system also hates her very much. Third question. Tell me about a funny thing in your life. We had a cat, and I used to tell it to come to Dad, son. They'd diss me, saying how could a small animal call Dad? Then I told my cat, Xiao Meow, come to Big Brother. Or, Xiao Meow, go to your Auntie Chinchin. The host didn't hit you. She did. Her hits hurt a lot. Fourth question. What do you usually do for fun? PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. What is that? It's a shooting game. Her most frequent question was, who am I? Where am I? Who is hitting me? Why am I dead? You're talking about the host dishes. Girls aren't suited to playing this game. Of course, whoever kills her, I will definitely aim at that person's head and kill them with a single shot. Ha, game god. Fifth question. What do you think the host's weakness is? Impulsive. I don't know why, but when she had nothing to do as a rich lady, She wrote novels at home all day. He was especially excited when he wrote about face slapping. Once, when we were having a meal, there was a little white flower who was showing off. She would say a long string of words every minute without a pause. She slapped herself in the face until she forgot where she was. Haha, the system is dying of laughter. Sixth question, what do you think is the host's greatest strength? You look so handsome when you're slapping faces. A conflicted person. Seventh question, what do you usually do when a love rival appears? Ban them. The system feels like it's trembling. Eighth question, when was the angriest moment in your life? I've never been angry since we got married. He thought for a moment, and then continued. Well, I was angry before we got married. It was during truth or dare. No matter what I asked, she didn't answer. Her alcohol tolerance was so good. I'm so angry. Ha ha. The system covered its non-existent mouth and secretly laughed. Ninth question, do you have any wishes? Can this life be a little longer? Can she not leave? 10th question, I don't think so. Then say something to her. You know she can hear it. Come and find me quickly. Don't dawdle. There's not much time left. I'm waiting for you. I'll stand here and wait for you. Chapter 1076. Ding, welcome home, host. She didn't feel anything special when she returned to the chaos space. Rather, it felt like she hadn't come back in a long time. Does the host miss the system? I don't. Does the host not miss the system in the future? Trash system, what is there to miss? Host, don't regret it. Anyway, it'll be a long time before you see the system again. The following is a summary of the mission. Host, please properly look over it. Name, Luo, Qingshan World. Hello, Demon School Hunk. Mission completion rate. 50% experience was originally 5,000, but 1,000 experience has been deducted because the host didn't complete the side mission. There are currently 3 items in the spatial storage, Exquisite Ring and 9-section Moonwhip. Exchange points, 11,500, 3,500 deducted from the last world. Base points, 40-inch too much. Why are you deducting my experience every day? I'm about to reach the peak of my life, system. Are you doing this on purpose? The system isn't like this. The system spread its non-existent hands. Who told its host to be so extravagant? Buying a mansion as soon as she came up, it created serious consequences that couldn't be reversed. The host's 20th mission panel is below. Appearance, stamina, intelligence, figure, and etc. Full stats. Luo Qingshan's eyes were a bit surprised as her heart skipped a beat. This feeling was strangely familiar. She had felt full stats like this a long time ago. She had been very happy, but the ending had caught her off guard. Now it felt like everything had returned to the beginning, like everything could be redone. She really was a bit afraid. Yes, host. What do you mean? It can't be that you're telling me that you aren't in this world, right? She suddenly regretted arguing with the system. Moreover, she wanted to work hard to get back. Sorry, host. You will be entering a special world. I don't want to experience a special world. When you look at the next panel, you should like this special world. After that, the image in the bronze mirror changed. Mission grade, experience gained, 0. Exchange points gained, 0 skills, space and time freeze, permanent skill, female lead, Luo Qingshan male lead, Du Jiusheng supporting female lead, Muxin Yin supporting male lead, Lung Yin sea cannon fodder, Dai Xiao Pang mission content. Return to the year the female lead died and obtain the love of the male lead, Du Jiusheng. Secondary quest. Help cannon fodder die, Xiao Pang find true love. Du Jiusheng? Her brows trembled as the memories in her mind froze like a movie. That special ability master, that person in the life continuation pool, for her, he had died so cruelly. The system must remind the host that this plane also has the so-called supernatural ability, but you don't have it. The male lead has it? Yes. What's his ability? Mind reading. However, he can't read the host. And he can turn water into ice. His strength is several times that of an ordinary person, but he usually doesn't show it. Why does it sound so weird? Yes. The male lead's personality is rather special. The host will know after receiving the memories. Do the supporting male and female characters have special abilities? Of course, she had to ask clearly, because after entering the plane, she would be an ordinary person. Other than him, no one else in this plane has any superpowers. Host, are you ready? No. Chapter 1077. When Luo Qingxuan received the previous host's memories, she felt like her worldview was about to collapse. No matter how much she liked slapping faces, she at least thought of herself as a kind person. What could be done and what could go against one's conscience? She was very clear on this point. After all, in her eyes, the heavens were watching what people did. She had to live up to her conscience, no matter what she did. But the previous host wasn't like this. The previous host this time was a bad person, or it could be said that she was a bad person, because she had killed many people, and one of them was Du Jiushang's little sister, Du Jioling. However, this matter was overshadowed by her powerful and omnipotent stepfather, the Du family, the largest family in Qian City. The previous host's father died early, causing the previous host to have a stubborn personality. Her mother remarried to the male lead's father, Du Jia. She officially entered the Du family. The male lead was studying abroad at that time, but the male lead's little sister was living under the same roof as her. Sarcasm was a necessary skill for a young miss. Du Jioling relied on her status as the first wife's daughter to cause trouble for the previous host. When the previous host had been in the Du family for a year, she designed a trap for Du Jioling to accidentally die. Du Jia's mood didn't change after learning of this matter, because in his eyes, the previous host was more important than his daughter. Because he loved the previous host's mother, Xiaowan, like a madman. As for the previous host, high IQ, high EQ, good looks, a lowly figure, and a sweet voice, it gave her a bewitching charm. Good looks weren't considered much, but heaven-defying looks could change many things. For example, there were many people in school who liked her. For example, her high IQ not only made her admired by boys, it also made girls like her. Smart people lived to the end, and stupid people were the first to eat the poisonous crab. She had always been smart. No matter who she killed, she could make it seem like an accident. No one in this world knew that she had killed someone other than her stepfather Du Jia and her big brother from different parents, Du Jiusheng. She died because she fell in love with Du Jiusheng. Love could make people confused. The male lead was the same as her. In order to take revenge for his little sister, he made the previous host fall into his gentle trap step by step. As the school hunk of Qian Mu High School, the male lead naturally had a lot of fangirls. The previous host used her high intelligence to kill them one by one. Du Jiusheng knew all of this, but he still took care of her. When the original owner thought she was going to be happy with the male lead personally shattered all her dreams. In the world of love, whoever got serious first would lose. In fact, on the first day that the original owner and the male lead met, the male lead said to her, "Don't fall in love with me. I'm here for revenge." Perhaps there was a time loop, and there was a price to pay for killing. Perhaps it was life, or perhaps it was the so-called love that was even more precious than life. In the end, the original owner couldn't accept this fact. She had lost to the male lead, lost to the so-called love. Actually, the previous host had the same idea as Du Jiusheng. They all hoped that the other party would fall in love with them, and then cruelly abandon them. However, such a high IQ and EQ person was unable to control the male lead strategy. Chapter 1078. Now time had turned back to a year ago. Du Ling'er had just died, and Du Jiusheng was about to come back. Luo Qingxuan sat up and took a deep breath as she seriously recalled the previous host's story. Her hands weren't stained with blood yet, other than Du Ling'er, but her death couldn't be completely blamed on the previous host. It took 2 hands to clap. Even a rabbit would bite when it was anxious, not to mention a person who was a bit twisted. Luo Qingxuan opened her eyes and looked around. There was a pink lace princess room and a luxurious 5-tiered wardrobe that was filled with cute lowly-style clothes. Today was the day Du Jiusheng came back, and it was the 7th day since Du Ling'er's death. She suddenly felt a bit tired. This place was too depressing. She thought that when they met again, it would be a very warm and pampering story. but she didn't know that there would be a feeling of suffocating pressure. Standing in front of the full-length mirror, she picked out a pink princess lace dress, a colorful crystal bracelet, and a hair clip with a bow. It was cute yet gorgeous. At this moment, she took a good look at the face in front of her. Indeed, it was indescribably beautiful. A delicate face that was like white porcelain, with clear dark eyes that seemed like they were glowing, and cherry pink lips that were as moist as glaze. The gray-brown hair that fell over her shoulders seemed like it would fall down if a comb was placed on it. Luo Qingshun took a deep breath. With the high intelligence of this body, she could understand what happened without the system, as well as the male lead's personality. This was a game to see who would fall in love first. The one who fell in love first would be the loser. She didn't know if she could go back to a year ago and start over again. Would she be able to change the ending? Young Miss, the master and madam are in the front hall. The young master's car is already at the door. When she opened the door, Xiao Lu came over with a smile. Xiao Lu was the Du family's maid. She had been following her since she came to the Du Manor. As for her character, it wasn't good to say. The previous host knew who this Lu belonged to since she was a genius with a high intelligence. The Du family's villa was very big. It took a full 5 minutes to walk from her room to the dining hall. The door was open, and there was a familiar scent in the air. Even her heart couldn't help beating faster. Looking from a distance, it was like 10,000 years had passed. "Master, madam, the young miss is here." The housekeeper saw her at first glance, and her first glance fell on the familiar young man. He had the same sharp face, eyes that were as deep as the stars, and his skin that was as snow. He wasn't wearing a camouflage uniform like last time. Instead, he was wearing a tailored black suit. He still looked handsome beyond compare. Du Jiusheng slowly turned when he heard this. His eyes fell onto her, and he was a bit surprised. He heard his little sister say that the daughter's daughter's daughter. She always told him that she had a good relationship to her. Although there were times to the past, to the point that she was cute, to the point. This was what his obedient little sister often said to him. But that so-called big sister was so vicious that she couldn't even tolerate her. So what if she looked good, a life for a life that was right? In an instant, the water in the wine glass on the table gradually froze and the temperature dropped. Luo Qingshun took a deep breath and walked in Du Jiusheng's direction with her head held high. Chapter 1079. You have to be good to your little sister, otherwise I won't give you the things you want even if I bring them into the coffin. Du Jie shook his wine glass and narrowed his eyes, with an aura that didn't allow rejection. Du Jiusheng narrowed his cold eyes, and his lips curled into a faint smile. "I'm afraid. It's not up to you." Du Jiusheng. "Father, you can be assured, this little sister." He paused as an unknown emotion flashed in his deep eyes. He looked at the beautiful face not far away and said, "I will definitely take good care of her." Du Jiusheng slowly walked in her direction. His eyes under his thick brows suddenly turned dark, and there was a faint curve to his lips as he slowly walked towards her. "Hello, I am Du Jiusheng." He reached out like a gentleman and softly took the back of her hand. He placed a cool kiss on it as he said, "I'm very happy to see you." Luo Qingshun's right hand trembled and her white fingers slid across his cool palm, leaving behind a faint throbbing. Du Jiusheng slightly knit his brows because of this throbbing. "Long time no see." She bit her lip and slowly took her hand back. There was a faint sparkle in her clear eyes as she looked at him. "Mr. Du Jiusheng, you should call me Big Brother." He raised a brow with an elegant aura as he looked at her with a focused gaze. "All right." Her lips curled into a taunting smile as she said, "Big Brother. Mr. X, the base, the destiny life map, the life continuation pool." When everything was in the past, the most painful thing was that she remembered and he forgot. Du Jiusheng looked at her perfect face, and there was a different emotion that flashed in his heart. Good-looking people would always be favored by the heavens, not to mention someone as good-looking as her. Seeing her tremble a bit, Du Jiusheng took off his coat like a gentleman and put it over her shoulder. "Don't catch a cold." She closed her eyes and felt the familiar scent on his coat, but her heart turned a bit cold. because she knew what he was thinking, and she also knew that he was just putting on an act, a beautiful play where he fell in love with someone and pampered someone. It was all to take revenge for Du Ling Air. But what about herself? What kind of role did she have to play? The Du family was indeed a rich and powerful family. Even their lunch had the feel of a Michelin restaurant. From the main dishes to the side dishes to the desserts, everything was exquisite. Luo Qingxun didn't forget to look at Du Jiusheng's expression while eating. Today was the 7th day after Du Ling Air's death, but he was still casually chewing the beef in his mouth, not looking strange at all. How strong was the heart of such a young man? She seemed to know how powerful he was. He still looked the same, but he was no longer the youth who had carried her on his back without hesitation in front of the life continuation pool. He was so cold that it was as if he had a supernatural ability that could freeze water into ice. I'm full. She looked up and slowly stood up. She casually looked in Du Jiusheng's direction, but he clearly wasn't looking at her. He was still focused on the food on his plate. Du Jie glanced at him and said, "Anyway, you have nothing to do in the afternoon. Just accompany Qing to walk around. School is about to start. Buy some clothes or school supplies." When Du Jie said this, Luo Qingxun and Du Jiusheng were stunned at the same time. Today was the 7th day after Du Ling Air's death. This father not only didn't plan on seeing his daughter, he didn't even plan on letting Du Jiusheng go. Chapter 1080. At 1:30 in the afternoon, she took a shower and changed into a black and white dress, as well as a MAC strawberry lipstick before slowly walking downstairs. Du Jiusheng was leaning against the stairs. He had also changed his clothes, changing into a more casual one. Luo Qingxun took a step forward and carefully looked over his face, feeling like a generation had passed. The rings of memories filled his mind, and bit by bit, the memories spread before his eyes. "Silly girl, what are you thinking about?" Until his slightly magnetic and gentle voice sounded, her eyes immediately turned red. "Nothing." She looked up and said, "I suddenly thought of a song that suits us very well." "What is it?" "Actor." His deep eyes were a bit surprised as an emotion that others couldn't understand flashed in them. On the street, there were many people. Sitting in Du Jiusheng's luxurious Benz, there was a very suppressed feeling in her heart. This feeling came from the person beside her. He was domineering and flamboyant, yet calm. It was like she could see through his heart, like there were layers of fog in front of her. "Qing, where do you want to go? Big brother will take you there." His voice was very gentle. If it wasn't for the fact that she knew how much this man hated her, she would have fallen to his gentle words and wouldn't rest until she was dead. Only he knew how much he hated this person in front of him. A seemingly innocent girl. How could she kill someone so cruelly and escape the punishment of the law? He didn't understand, and definitely couldn't understand, why this kind of person couldn't receive retribution. But with his high IQ and EQ, he had to admit that when this girl looked at him, there was a very strange feeling in his heart. It was like he had seen this bright as a flower smile not too long ago, a smile that was so beautiful that it made people suffocate. "How about you let me guess where you want to go?" She held her cheek with her right hand as she looked out the window. She calmly said, "Easter Mountain Cemetery, right?" "See." She quickly turned a corner and slightly knit her brows, but there wasn't a trace of panic on her face. On the other hand, Du Jiusheng on the side had a cold look on his handsome face. Those bottomless eyes flickered and the bottle of mineral water beside the car trembled. In less than 3 seconds, it quickly condensed into ice. Luo Qingxun saw it, but she didn't say anything, until Du Jiusheng's cool voice slowly sounded. "Do you really dare go?" A murderer actually had the courage to go to her grave 7 days after her death. Could it be that there was more to her sister's death? Or perhaps the girl sitting beside him was too confident. "Why wouldn't I dare?" She slightly raised her eyebrows, the slightly raised corners of her mouth carrying extreme ridicule. Others might not be able to see it, but with his high IQ, he could see it clearly. "What I mean is, Qing is such a lovely girl, it's better not to go to that kind of place." Du Jiusheng drove the car to another corner as he said, "Big brother will take you to a party, a cosplay party." These so-called cosplay gatherings were mostly for the rich to pass the time. Since there was no system, she wasn't too sure when the supporting male and female characters would appear. The original owner didn't have a deep impression of these two people. The supporting male lead should be Lung Yin-si, a rich family's young master, the type that wouldn't be touched by a single flower. Chapter 1081. Although he had just come back, he was already familiar with the friendship between rich kids. He didn't think that the difference in time would affect this so-called friendship. Hong Long. The sky on the right gradually darkened and thunder kept falling. It seemed like it was going to rain tonight. What is it? Seeing her slightly knit brows, Du Jiusheng's lips couldn't help curling into a faint smile. Don't worry, Big Brother will protect you. The more chaotic a place was, after a few drinks, the most important thing would be gone. His heart was filled with hatred, but if he really wanted to kill her, he had a strange feeling that he wasn't willing. This was his first time having this strange, contradictory feeling. It was very uncomfortable, but also a bit expectant. Yes, with Big Brother by my side, Qing isn't afraid. When she said this, there was a bit of coldness in her eyes. He could see it, and strangely felt a bit of heartache. It really was a very strange feeling. The road to the mountain villa was very long, and the rain was getting heavier, making the ground very slippery. But Du Jiusheng didn't slow down at all. Rather, he drove faster and faster, almost reaching the speed of life and death. Luo Qingshun just slightly knit her brows and bit her lip, not saying a word, until there was a long breaking sound as the luxurious Benz stopped in front of the villa. It was very big and looked like a private club. One could hear the loud music coming from outside. It was very extravagant. Luo Qingshun was about to raise her right hand to open the door when Du Jiusheng's cold fingers pressed down on her hand. Don't get out. I'll get an umbrella first. She chuckled and nodded obediently. Okay. Suddenly, she had an epiphany and knew what kind of role she needed to play. Since the other side wanted to play the role of a big brother who pampered his little sister, why couldn't she play the role of a little sister who obeyed her big brother? Whoever fell in love with the other first would lose, wasn't it like this? Actually, there was only one person in the audience. When she opened the door, Du Jiusheng took her in his embrace. The umbrella was completely over her head and half his body was wet. Since they were deep in the mountains, the temperature around them was a bit low. At this moment, the temperature of the young man's body was just right. She suddenly felt that this plane was here to torture her, the kind of suppressed feeling in her heart that she couldn't express, the kind of memory that only she brought into the past. Bam, bam, bam. As soon as she entered the door, fireworks rained down on her head. Everyone came to Du Jiusheng's side. Those girls were all wearing revealing clothes, walking in a sexy style. Jiusheng, you're finally back. Our Black Council can't do without you. That's right. You'll be gone for 2 years. Why are you going overseas? How boring, isn't it? Even my younger sister is. Shut up. Sorry, Jiusheng. The atmosphere became incomparably awkward, but Du Jiusheng's handsome face didn't change at all. He pulled Luo Qingshun's hand and introduced her to everyone with a faint smile. This is also my little sister. You can call her Qing or Qingshun. At this moment, everyone sucked in a cold breath. Chapter 1082. Stop playing. Du Jiusheng naturally took her hand and said to Lung Yin-si while walking up, Is my room still the same one? How would I dare touch your room? Lung Yin-si raised a brow. His chestnut hair looked very charming under the light of the wine. His eyes fell on a Luo Qingshun, and a faint emotion flashed in his eyes. Very beautiful. It was like a strange sunshine in the summer, so beautiful that it couldn't be described. Du Jiusheng didn't care about the gazes of others as he walked up, holding her hand. She slightly knit her brows and wanted to take back her left hand at a certain corner, but he took it back and held it in his hand. What's wrong with Qing? Du Jiusheng lowered his brows, and his eyelashes flickered as he looked at her with an unknown emotion. A person who killed his little sister could actually stand in front of him like this, resisting the heat of his hand. It really made him feel a sense of defeat. The stronger the sense of defeat, the stronger the desire to possess and control. Not to mention that he wasn't a normal person. Luo Qingshun's lips curled into a beautiful curve as she slowly looked up at him with clear eyes. It's fine, big brother. Qing is just a bit nervous. Since they were acting, they had to act fully, right? The weak little sister fell in love with her big brother. Wasn't this the result that the youth in front of her wanted? Don't be nervous. They're all speaking nonsense. Qing, don't mind them. Du Jiusheng came to the fourth floor and entered the innermost room with his fingerprint. Then he turned to say to her, Big brother is going out for a bit. Wait for me here. I'll be back soon. His eyes were very gentle. If she didn't know everything, she would have thought that this big brother was really talking to his little sister. All right, I'll be here, waiting for big brother to come back. She gave a soft laugh and nodded, as a faint liguang appeared in her eyes. Good. Luo Qingxin took a deep breath as she watched him leave. For the first time, she had the feeling of waiting. It was as if someone had always been waiting for her. The cause of the previous life, the effect of the future. In the first life of the time ring, you sacrificed yourself for me. In the second life of the time ring, I waited for you to come back. This was her first time finding herself so conflicted. She wanted to act, but she found that it was faster to act than to act. Du Jiusheng didn't come back as soon as he said, but she knew where he went. The Easter Mountain Cemetery should be on the other side. He went to visit Du Ling'er. Boom! A deafening thunder resounded. The rain outside the window was very heavy. Lightning flashed and thunder roared, revealing a touch of gloomy chilliness. When she was in a daze, there was knocking on the door. She narrowed her eyes, as she opened it. There was a smile. Jiusheng didn't come back. He's you. Jio. Jio. He did not enter the room completely, but stood outside the door, waiting for her permission. The room was very dark, but she didn't turn on the lights. There was a flash of lightning outside the window, and the light shined on her beautiful face that was as white as snow. Chapter 1083. In an instant, the surroundings were filled with light. She gave a slight nod and said, Come in. She thought, Big brother, I'm very clear on what you want. If it really is like this, it'll be as you wish. After all, this was what she owed him. Before Jiusheng went abroad, we often came here. This is his exclusive room. He never brought anyone in. Lung Yin Si sat down like a gentleman, not doing anything overboard. Without knowing why, when he saw Luo Qingxin for the first time, there was a very strange feeling in his heart that made him want to approach her. Even though Du Jiusheng had clearly told him before leaving that he couldn't approach his little sister. In his eyes, Du Jiusheng was a very smart person. He could even guess what he was thinking with just a small action. This was simply terrifying. But if he thought about it, he didn't like this so-called little sister anyway. It was better to satisfy the inexplicable expectation in his heart. What was wrong with that? Although he, Lung Yin Si, could be considered the type that couldn't be touched by a single leaf. But with such a beautiful lowly in front of him, if he really couldn't control himself, it would be considered taking revenge for Ling'er. Lung Yin Si gave himself a very good reason, but actually he couldn't control his desires. Is that so? It really is like Big Brother style, cold and cheerless. Luo Qingxin looked around before taking the red wine from Lung Yin Si's hand and skillfully opening it. With a gentle sniff, she could tell the year and type of the red wine. After going through so many worlds, she didn't improve at all, but her alcohol tolerance had increased quite a bit. Not getting drunk after 1,000 cups, this really wasn't a joke. 82 La Fight, the Empress of the Red Wine Kingdom. She shook the glass before taking a sip. The year is just right. It seems like Big Brother Yin Si has put in a lot of effort. Lung Yin Si was a bit stunned. This bottle of wine had been accidentally broken last time, so he couldn't see the year and type it all. The girl in front of him could say it all with a single sip. He was a bit at a loss. Yes. Lung Yin Si awkwardly poured himself a glass of wine. He took a sip unnaturally and said, It seems that Qing knows a lot about wine. I thought, do you still think I'm an inexperienced little girl? Luo Qingxin lazily leaned on the sofa, her legs slightly slanted, revealing her white thighs. Every inch of her skin was delicate and graceful, and her slightly opened lips were the color of red wine, making people feel a sense of confusion and infatuation. No, no, no. Lung Yin-Si's cheeks were a bit hot. This was the first time he felt that being close to a woman made his heart beat so violently. He shook his head and continued. Qing is the cutest girl I've ever seen in the world, and she's definitely not a naive little girl. Of course, if I was an inexperienced little girl. Luo Qingshun narrowed her eyes, a dangerous smile on her lips. You wouldn't say that I killed Du Ling? Her smile was very lazy, but her eyes dimmed a bit. No one knew what happened in the Du family's swimming pool that day. Du Jiusheng would never know. If Du Ling didn't die that day, she would have died. The previous host's personality was twisted, and she did all those cruel things. It was definitely related to Du Ling, because she was sincerely good to Du Ling, in the beginning. Chapter 1084. How can Qing say this? Lung Yin-Si casually poured her a cup of wine and gently said, These are just rumors. Not to mention that Jiusheng doesn't believe it. So how could we believe it? He doesn't believe it? Of course. Lung Yin-Si drank the red wine in his hand and said, If he believed it, he wouldn't care for you. Care for her? She gave a cold laugh and shook the wine cup in her hand before drinking it all. There was a faint red on the corner of her mouth, and the entire room was filled with the smell of red wine, making people unable to resist. Lung Yin-Si was a bit surprised as his deep eyes gradually blurred. The rain outside became heavier, and his heart became more and more restless. That's right. Big brother is the best to me. She raised a brow as her slender white hand picked up the remaining red wine on the table and drank it all. Then she turned to Lung Yin-Si and said, It's very late. I should rest. When the 1982 law fight was emptied in an instant, Lung Yin-Si's entire body froze. He naturally understood this clear order to leave, but the desire burning in his heart made him unwilling to leave this place. The girl's face was calm, and her cheeks were a bit red. Her eyes were so clear that they reflected the other side's figure. In this long night, it kept swallowing the consciousness of the person in front of her. Luo Qingshun was very clear that Lung Yin-Si's heart was moved. There's a place nearby where you can see the beautiful aurora on a rainy day. Anyway, Jiusheng won't be back that soon. Do you want to take a look? Big brother Yin-Si is quite interested in going out on a rainy day. Luo Qingshun looked out the window. The rain was still very heavy, and there was thunder and lightning that filled her ice-cold heart. Jiusheng can go out for his beloved little sister. Why should we waste this good time? Lung Yin-Si's voice was a bit displeased. In the noble circle, every young master wanted to be the most outstanding and be admired by women the most. In this circle, Du Jiusheng would always be the center of attention. Since this girl was the enemy who killed his little sister, if he could conquer her before him, wouldn't he feel a sense of accomplishment? What you said is very right. She raised a brow and her lips curled slightly. Without the system, how could she know how much affection Du Jiusheng had for her? There was only one way. Make him jealous. The Rolls-Royce driving down the mountain road in the middle of the night was playing with their lives. Perhaps it was because of the wine. Lung Yin-Si's car was a bit floating, but Luo Qingshun's expression was as calm as always. It was as if this kind of life-and-death situation did not have much of an impact on her. Instead, it made her anxious heart gradually calm down. Since it was useless to say anything more, she might as well enjoy this play. At least, she was the male lead. At least, she was a person to him, even if the hate everything. Lung Yin-Si glanced at her from the corner of his eyes. Seeing that she didn't look panicked at all, he felt a strange sense of defeat. Chapter 1085. Luo Qingshun was very lucky. She was only slightly injured. The reason why she was this lucky was not because the heavens were looking after her, but rather because of her previous world training. Even if she didn't exchange for any special abilities, her skills were still very good. The moment the car fell, she used the safest method possible to land on the grass in order to reduce the momentum of the car. Lung Yin-Si was even more miserable. The car was deformed, and the aluminum alloy pierced through his right leg. It was a good thing it wasn't an artery, so he was still conscious when Luo Qingshun found him. The storm was still falling. Luo Qingshun had her hands in the pockets of her black and white dress, and her eyes were as calm as water. After finding a place to take shelter from the rain, she quickly started a fire. Lung Yinsi stared at her without blinking, his face pale. "Qing, I'm very sorry." He bit his lip and spoke with difficulty. He couldn't imagine that when his car was about to fall off the mountain, the girl sitting beside him narrowed her eyes and jumped out of the car without any hesitation. The distance, movement, speed, and buffer were all calculated clearly. When she stood in front of him, she was still wearing that beautiful black and white dress. The rain slowly fell down her white cheeks, and he felt like he was looking at an angel at that moment. An angel with black and white wings slowly walked over to her. "No need." Luo Qingshun narrowed her eyes and looked at his leg as she said, "I'm not certain that you can return to the villa alive." Although the aluminum alloy didn't hurt the artery, it was very easy to get an infection in this environment. Once there were complications from the infection, the organs couldn't be saved. "They will come find us." Lung Yin-si gave a certain nod and comforted her. "Relax." "They?" Luo Qingshun's lips twitched as she said with a soft smile, "Perhaps Big Brother wants me to never go back." "No." Lung Yin-si shook his head in an excited manner. "I don't believe that you would kill Jiu Sheng's little sister." This time he said this from the bottom of his heart. Rumors stopped with a wise man. He shouldn't believe these words. Just now, she clearly had the opportunity to directly leave this place, but she still came down alone to look for her. This was enough to prove what kind of girl she was. If she was his girl, he would definitely trust her 100%. "But brother doesn't believe me." She smiled bitterly. Her smile was so helpless, but her smile was like a flower. "Who cares? He can believe it or not." Lung Yin-si patted his chest and said to her with a gentle smile, "I believe you." She could clearly feel her heart skip a beat. It would be a lie to say that she was not suddenly moved. The ups and downs of human affairs on this stormy night. To have someone suddenly say, "I believe in you" with such sincerity, this feeling was really not bad. At the same time, in the Eastern Mountain Cemetery, Du Jiusheng stood in front of his little sister's grave, and his eyes were as deep as ink. In the pouring rain, the black umbrella in his right hand was tightly held. A slightly cold voice slowly sounded. "Linger, Big Brother is back." He slightly knit his brows as the figure of a certain person flashed in his mind. In front of his little sister's grave, he wondered if the so-called enemy would be afraid alone in the villa. After all, it was raining so heavily and she looked so weak. Chapter 1086. When he came back to the villa, everyone had already taken off their makeup. They were all discussing their little sister and Lung Yin-si's rendezvous in the middle of the night. "Jiu Sheng is back." Mi Tang handed him a towel and came over with a smile as she teased. "Your little sister really is a beauty." Even Lung Yin-si, who doesn't care about women, couldn't resist her charm. Mi Tang's words weren't good. It was like she was hinting that Luo Qingshun was a fox spirit. "Where are they?" Du Jiusheng knit his brows and couldn't help looking out the window. He was a bit confused. In this kind of rain, where did Lung Yin-si take her? But what he was even more puzzled about was why he had an inexplicable feeling of worry. "Relax, Yin-si drove there. This is his territory. What could happen?" Car. Sex? Hey, I feel like it's possible. When I went to your room, I saw that Yin-si had opened a 1982 Lafite and drank it all. He must have gone all out this time. Everyone didn't feel any sense of danger. They didn't care about drinking and driving in the rain at all. Du Jiusheng casually looked at them and could read their thoughts. Other than watching the fun, there was nothing else. "Jiusheng, don't worry about them. Anyway, your little sister isn't a good thing." Mi Tang was wearing hot shorts, sticking to him like a piece of candy. "What did you say?" His eyes narrowed as a chill came from his body. He had to admit that he hated people talking about Luo Qingshun like this. He strangely wanted to use his ability to protect her. Protect her? In an instant, the surrounding temperature plummeted. The heavy rain outside the window turned into hail in less than a few seconds. Everyone could feel the chill coming from Du Jiusheng. Mi Tang took a step back and revealed an awkward smile. "Io, look at how serious you are." I know it's your baby little sister. We'll go find her with you. She had rarely seen Du Gio so angry. She could even feel the inexplicable killing intent in his eyes. Was it because of his sister, who was rumored to have killed his own sister? That's impossible. No need. He looked up. The hail outside the window gradually turned into rain. He didn't think too much and walked straight to the door. Everyone looked at each other and expressed that they did not understand, but they did not dare to say anything. After all, in this room, only Lung Group was qualified to compete with the Du family in terms of wealth and power. After leaving the villa, Du Jiusheng turned on the high beams to look for Lung Yanxi's car. The rain was very heavy, but it didn't affect him at all. After an extreme curve, he saw the broken fence. His deep eyes flickered, and there was a suffocating feeling in his heart. He got out of the car with a black umbrella. The surroundings were very dark, so he couldn't see clearly. The hillside was very slippery, and the slightest carelessness could cause one to fall down. But Du Jiusheng didn't care at all. There was only one thought in his mind: to find her quickly. The thorny vines cut through his skin, and blood dripped down drop by drop. He closed his eyes, and the wet puddles around him froze into ice. Chapter 1087. Why is it hailing? Lung Yanxi looked outside, and his face was a bit pale. Luo Qingchun looked at his thigh and knit her brows in worry. Are you worried about me? Seeing her knit her brows as she looked at his wound, he suddenly felt strangely happy. So the person you cared about you. This was the feeling. I feel that you should be worried about yourself. She carefully looked at the muscle tissue on his thigh. The innermost layer was already dark red and black, with a thick white liquid coming out. It seemed like it was starting to get infected. After that, when Luo Qingchun wasn't prepared at all, Lung Yanxi's right hand softly took her wrist and pulled her to his side as he said, I seem to like you worrying for me more. Luo Qingchun was a bit surprised before giving a cold laugh. It's fine to cut off your leg? What? Lung Yanxi didn't let her go, but his eyes immediately moved to his thigh. It was a bit disgusting. In a few hours, if no one finds us, you might have to say goodbye to your leg first. Luo Qingchun gave a shrug. She wanted to break free from his embrace, but she never thought that he would hold her even tighter. He softly leaned on her shoulder and said with a gentle smile, Do you know what my motto is? Xiao. A cold wind blew and the hailstones became bigger. A clear-as-water voice slowly sounded, I think she doesn't need to know. Luo Qingchun pushed Lung Yanxi away in a panic as her Liguang eyes fell onto Du Jiusheng. Big brother. She softly moved her lips as her long lashes fanned over her face. Io. Lung Yanxi was pushed to the ground by her, and the aluminum alloy seemed to have sunk in even deeper. Du Jiusheng looked at him and instantly understood what he was thinking. This feeling made him very uncomfortable, and the strong possessiveness in his heart slowly rose. In the next second, his gaze fell on Luo Qingchun's body. Almost without hesitation, he walked up to her and grabbed her hand. Then, he looked at Lung Yanxi, who was on the ground, and said, Your legs are not bad. Quickly carry me up. Lung Yanxi looked at Du Jiusheng with a look that said, I want to die from pain. After all, he still needed his legs, okay? I can't. Du Jiusheng's cool voice slowly sounded as he picked up his phone to call 120. After saying a few simple words, he resolutely turned around and walked away, holding Luo Qingchun's hand without looking back. He suddenly remembered something his father had once said to him. The men of the Du family were all like this. For love, they could resort to underhanded means. For love, they could become demons on the spot. For love, they could destroy the world. At this moment, there was an almost perverted thought in his mind. Even if this person was the murderer of his little sister, he didn't like her smiling at others. He didn't like her caring about others, and he didn't even like her talking to others. He was a very smart person when he had this feeling of imprisoning others. He knew that the girl in his right hand had a place in his heart. But this wasn't his plan. His plan was to make this girl fall in love with him. Then he would abandon her and make her lose everything, taking revenge for his little sister. Chapter 1088. Lung Yanxi was cursing behind them. Most of it was words like, putting your sister over your friend. Of course, Du Jiusheng had called an ambulance for him, but he didn't plan on carrying him up. In his eyes, he was already treating him as a brother by calling an ambulance for him. After all, the desire to restrain Luo Qingshun filled his mind at this moment. Luo Qingshun was held by him like this, and her heart kept beating fast. She felt like she was back in the agent world. His palms had once been so hot, holding her hand as they walked forward. "The hill is very slippery. I'll carry you up." He gave the umbrella to her and squatted down. At that moment, Luo Qingshun couldn't tell if the other side was doing this to make her fall in love with him, or if he was doing this from the bottom of his heart. Actually, Du Jiusheng was also confused at this moment. The rain fell drop by drop from his handsome face, and at that moment, he was thinking about how the girl behind him wouldn't catch a cold. Actually, if it was the normal Luo Qingshun, she would definitely reject him. After all, even without the system, she wouldn't be this weak and need someone to protect her. But now, according to the script, she should be the obedient little sister who was obedient to her big brother. She softly muttered. She leaned against Du Jiusheng's back, and he easily carried her on his back. "Cover yourself well. Don't worry about me." His beautiful voice fell into her ears along with the sound of the rain. "Big brother, you're not taking big brother Yanxi away?" Luo Qingshun's brows trembled as she turned to look at Lung Yanxi crying in the cave. She suddenly felt that it was a bit immoral, right? She just felt that it was a bit immoral. Other than being immoral, she didn't feel anything else. "He is not your big brother." After a while, his magnetic voice slowly sounded as he said in a firm voice, "I am your big brother." "Right, big brother." Even if Du Ling Er didn't die, she was still his little sister in name. "Poochie." Luo Qingshun gave a soft laugh as her lips curled into a faint smile. "I always thought that you wouldn't come back. I'm your brother. If you're missing, I'll naturally come." His gentle voice invaded her heart layer by layer without any defense. It was like a single piece of candy could make her collapse. The previous host had loved this man before her previous life, but she was a soul that had experienced her previous life. She had already lost half the battle of who fell in love first. Big brother's really good." She pursed her lips and gave a slight nod. She leaned her head on his broad shoulder and closed her eyes. She felt very tired. Her limbs were cold and her head. It seemed like she had a fever. This body was really made out of paper. It only suffered some minor injuries and was drenched in the rain, but it actually slept for 2 whole days. The air was filled with the smell of alcohol. It was a high-end aristocratic hospital, and it was very quiet. The sunlight shone through the window on her snow-white cheeks, and her long eyelashes fluttered slightly. Her clear eyes narrowed as she saw the youth standing in front of the window. He was dressed very casually, with a white sweater and a gray coat, looking like a school hunk. Du Jiusheng immediately felt those focused eyes. When he turned around, his back was to the light, and his handsome face seemed to glow. Chapter 1089. "You're awake?" Du Jiusheng's lips curled into a beautiful curve as he slowly walked towards her. She softly sat up, and he had already helped her put the pillow down. Did you sleep for a long time?" Luo Qingshun slightly knit her brows and felt that she didn't have any strength. Du Jiusheng saw her slightly nodding and couldn't help reaching out to pat her head. "You have to rest when you're sick. Where's big brother Lung?" "Yanxi." She almost scolded Yanxi, but when she was about to say it, she suddenly remembered that she wasn't playing the role of a violent person who would slap back. She was a gentle and obedient little sister. She should call someone older than her big brother. "He won't die." Du Jiusheng's deep eyes had an unfathomable thought. It seems like Qing's impression of Lung Yanxi isn't bad. He didn't feel good in his heart. "It's all right. He seems like a good person." Luo Qingshun pursed her lips and revealed an obedient smile. Big brother's friends are all good people. Like was a very wonderful thing. It could blind your heart and make you stop in a certain role. Pain and happiness, unhumph. He gave a cold snort, and his slender fingers brushed her bangs. "Isn't a good person." A man who went into his little sister's room when she wasn't there. How could he be considered a good person? This was the first time she had looked at him so closely. Du Jiusheng, who had changed out of his military uniform, looked even better. After a sleepless night, she was officially discharged 3 days later. She was confirmed to enter the third year with Du Jiusheng. According to her age, she was supposed to enter the second year. But Luo Qingxun used her high IQ to answer all the questions and enter the third year. Of course, Du Jiusheng was also in the third year. Cool Spring First High School, third year class 7. On the first day of school, the name Du Jiusheng had spread through the entire school. A rich young master with a face that couldn't be picked on had successfully attracted a bunch of fans. Of course, it wasn't surprising that Luo Qingxun had replaced Mu Xinyan as the new school flower of Cool Spring First High School. Outside the bathroom of the third-year high school, several of Mu Xinyan's followers complained with unconvinced looks. Who is that new campus belle? She doesn't look like much. How can she compare to our big sister Xinyan? The photos uploaded on the forum were obviously photoshopped. How shameless! Our big sister, Xinyan, is barefaced. I heard that she's the little sister of school hunk Jiusheng, but I'm not too clear on the specifics. She is Jiusheng's little sister? After Mu Xinyan heard the little follower flatter her, she asked this. Yes, big sister Xinyan. I heard that she is the little sister of school hunk Jiusheng from different parents. Little follower A said, right, big sister Xinyan. Weren't you very close with school hunk Jiusheng in your first year of high school? Now that he's back from 2 years abroad. Hey. Don't speak nonsense. Mu Xinyan proudly stroked her brown curly hair. Our relationship isn't bad, but Jiusheng doesn't like being disturbed. It's better to have fewer rumors. Actually, Mu Xinyan wanted the entire school to spread the news that she was with Du Jiusheng, since she had secretly loved this man for a long time. Now that he was back and they were in the same school, how could she not seize this chance to turn her secret love into mutual love? Chapter 1090. Facts prove that Mu Xinyan's idea was completely wrong. Because when Du Jiusheng walked into the school with Luo Qingxun, all the rumors of them not being on good terms with each other and the Photoshop photos all collapsed. Luo Qingxun's face was the best face-slapping weapon. That face that every boy couldn't help blushing when they saw it. There was no doubt that she was the school flower candidate. That so-called bare-faced Mu Xinyan in front of her was like a human. Her fair skin was already way better than hers, not to mention her perfect facial features. She really is beautiful. She's just like a doll. She really is beautiful. I want to join little Fairy Qingxun's fan club. Didn't you like Mu Xinyan before? You changed so quickly. Seeing her, I feel like Mu Xinyan is a man-made beauty. Mu Xinyan, standing not far away, couldn't help clenching her fists. She looked at Luo Qingxun with eyes filled with jealousy and hatred, filled with hostility. At this time, Du Jiusheng, holding Luo Qingxun's hand, looked a bit unhappy, holding her hand even tighter. When they came to Class 7, Luo Qingxun found that the people in the classroom were very familiar. A third of them were the people from the villa that day, including Mi Tang. Mi Tang's real name was Mi Tang, Chung Mi Tang. Therefore, Du Jiusheng didn't care about the words new student at all, but she did care about it very much. In order for Luo Qingxun to keep up with the class, she arranged for her to sit in the first row. She glanced at her desk mate and simply nodded her head. But when she heard her desk mate's name, she almost jumped up. What did you say? Luo Qingxun pursed her lips as she looked at the girl in front of her, who seemed to weigh 150 pounds with black framed glasses in a daze. Hello, I am Dai Xiaopang. Dai Xiaopang scratched her head as she looked at her in embarrassment. You really are thin. Luo Qingxun revealed an awkward smile. What was this so-called side mission? Help Dai Xiaopang gain love. To a third-year high school student, this was no longer little fatty, but big fatty, all right? Luo Qingxun said with a faint smile. You're not that fat. She didn't seem to have anything else to say other than that. I'm fat. Dai Xiaopang giggled. I want to lose weight, but I can't. Luo Qingxun glanced at her drawer. It was very tidy. Half of it was textbooks, and the other half was snacks. Generally speaking, fat people had a common problem, and that was he couldn't control his mouth. The first class in school always passed very quickly. Dai Xiaopang asked her to accompany her to the toilet. She didn't want to refuse, so she went with her. She didn't expect to meet the former campus belle at the entrance of a washroom. However, they only brushed past each other without any interaction. However, the followers of the former campus belle wanted to interact with her. "Hey, who's that? Our campus belle, big sister, Xinyan, is calling you over." There was a clear order that rang out. She narrowed her eyes and put her hands in her pockets, looking like she couldn't hear anything. It was almost time for class, and other than Dai, Xiaopeng, who was in the toilet with diarrhea, there was no one else. Chapter 1091. She thought that she could easily pull her to the ground, but she never thought that the other side would jump back and easily dodge her. She half leaned on the red brick railing outside the toilet with a lazy smile on her lips, but her eyes exuded a burst of coldness as she looked at the tomboy in front of her and said, "If you have something to say it quickly. If not, get lost." Pretending to be weak was enough for Du Jiusheng alone. This group of scum in front of her, were they worthy of her pretending to be weak? The tomboy was clearly stunned. 1. She never thought that Luo Qingshan would dodge her attack. And 2. She never thought that she would be so confident in telling her to scram? You don't understand? Luo Qingshan's clear eyes narrowed dangerously as she said, "Then turn yourself into a ball and quickly disappear." "Damn, little bitch, don't be too arrogant. This old lady..." The tomboy was about to raise her hand to slap her, but she caught it. Her right hand accurately twisted. Although she didn't use much strength, it was the most fragile part of the bone. If it wasn't for the fact that this body was too weak, she would have sent her wrist to see a doctor. Let go." The tomboy had her back to Mu Xinyan as her face turned a bit pale. He saw the smile on Luo Qingshan's face and suddenly felt a bit terrified. A dark flower suddenly bloomed in the originally clear eyes of that sweet candy Lolita. "Lin Nan, quickly, can't you see that big sister Xinyan is waiting?" The tomboy Lin Nan bit her lip as she whispered to Luo Qingshan, "Beautiful big sister, let go first. I won't dare in the future, all right?" Did you ask me before bullying her? When Luo Qingshan was planning on playing for a bit, there was a cool voice that sounded. She looked up to see Du Jiusheng against the light, standing in the corner with a cup of hot chocolate and a piece of vanilla cake in his hand. Luo Qingshan quickly let go of Lin Nan's hand and said with a faint smile, "I'll let you go." "Classmate Jiusheng, do you remember me?" "I am." When Mu Xinyan saw Du Jiusheng, she immediately fixed her bangs and put her hand in front of her, pretending to be an educated girl. I said, "Did you ask me for permission before you bullied her?" "Bully?" Lin Nan held her swollen wrist and was about to say something when she was interrupted by Luo Qingshan. "Brother." She pursed her lips, feeling wronged. She put her hands in the pockets of her uniform and dug her nails into herself. Her clear eyes misted over as she looked up at Du Jiusheng. "They're too much. How can they do this?" She looked weak on the outside, but she was cursing on the inside. If it wasn't for the fact that she was suppressing her laughter, she would have laughed out loud. Wasn't this the same tone of voice that she used to slap in the face in her previous playing? Haha, I suddenly feel that this role-playing is quite satisfying. So this is what it feels like to pretend to be weak and pitiful, a fake white flower. But then again, she couldn't be considered a complete actress. After all, she wouldn't attack unless she was attacked first. It was a fact that she was blocked by Mu Xinyan at the bathroom door. "Classmate Jiusheng." Mu Xinyan revealed an awkward smile. "How can we bully a new classmate? No one knows that she is your little sister." Chapter 1092. Du Jiusheng's fingers trembled. Seeing the tears in her eyes, his heart suddenly tightened. He didn't even think as he quickly came to her side and took her hand to protect her behind him. Lin Nan clearly didn't react to this world. This doll-like girl in front of her clearly wasn't hurt at all, so why was she pretending? Damn, White Lotus. However, this kind of White Lotus was different from others. Others only knew how to whine, but she would arm wrestle and in the blink of an eye, she would look like a pear blossom in the rain. Why was it so fake? Luo Qingshan could see what Lin Nan was thinking from her expression. She didn't forget to raise a brow at her, wanting to anger her to death. That Classmate Jiu Sheng, your little sister isn't as weak as she says. Don't be fooled by her. Lin Nan didn't forget to take a step back when she said this, afraid that her life wouldn't be guaranteed. But Du Jiusheng narrowed his cold eyes and said in a pampering voice, "Why wouldn't I believe my own little sister?" Just a few simple words, but it made Mu Xinyan's expression become very ugly. Senior Jiusheng, also, I know you, so please call me by my surname when you call me. As soon as his voice fell, Du Jiusheng took Luo Qingchen's hand and disappeared at the end of the hallway. He left behind the helpless Mu Xinyan and the tomboy Lin Nanan. Du, big brother, little fatty, is still in the bathroom. Luo Qingchen bit her lip and said, "You're not waiting for her?" "No." His words were concise, not giving anyone a chance to refute him. She clearly looked like a smart girl. Why didn't she know how to protect herself at all? Didn't she know that he would be worried for her? But why would he be worried for her, Luo Qingchen? He slowly stopped and lowered his head as a deep look appeared in his eyes. "Do you think I'm a good big brother?" His tone was very soft, but Luo Qingchen could clearly hear it. She suddenly felt the sincerity in his words. If she had the system, she would know what kind of feelings this man had toward her. Did he really like her, or was he too immersed in the act? Yes. Her clear eyes sparkled as she said with a sweet smile, "I'm the best big brother. If your big brother limits your freedom and imprisons your thoughts, if he doesn't let you play with others, is he still a good big brother?" Du Jiusheng was very clear that when he said this, it came from the depths of his heart. The Du family's people couldn't fall in love with anyone. This was the reason why his father's is his name. That person's estes ants and let's ants. That person's and that person's and that person's. That person assessed. That person's assess. Big brother will always be a good big brother. She pursed her lips and suddenly felt a little touched. If possible, I don't really want you to be my little sister." This was the last thing Du Jiusheng said to her that morning. The fine sunlight shone through the banana leaves and onto his back, bringing with it a mysterious and dreamy color. Chapter 1093. Dai Xiaopeng had stayed in the bathroom for half the class because of her stomach, so she came back to class with a pale face while holding her stomach. At the same time, because of Du Jiusheng's harsh words, Mu Xinyan didn't come to class. But her little tomboy follower came, angrily looking at Luo Qingchen. When class was over, she walked over to Luo Qingchen step by step and looked down at her as she said in a soft voice, "Classmate Luo, do you need an apprentice?" Du Jiusheng narrowed his deep eyes. He was planning on standing up, but after reading Lin Nan's thoughts, he sat back down. After that, those deep eyes became even more unfathomable. He wasn't too clear on Lin Nan, but he heard Lung Yin-si say that she was a famous delinquent. She liked beauties, especially Mu Xinyan a while ago. But after seeing Luo Qingchen for half a day, she actually wanted to approach her. Could it be that she really had the charm that made everyone like her? No need. She lowered her brows and her lips curled, decisively rejecting her. "AI, why are you like this? Du Jiusheng is looking at you, don't you know?" In that instant, Lin Nanan felt a chill run down his back. The next second, he immediately revealed an awkward smile and said, "Sorry to disturb you." "Pooh." She gave a soft laugh as her lips curled slightly. Although she couldn't read minds, she couldn't bring herself to hate someone like Lin Nanan. Compared to Mitang or Mu Xinyan, she was at least sincere. Luo Qingchen never thought that Mu Xinyan's big brother Mu Lanfeng would rush from Class 1 to Class 7 when he heard that his little sister was being bullied. His aggressive appearance made people break out in a cold sweat for Luo Qingchen. After all, Mu Lanfeng wasn't easy to offend. The Mu family had power in both the light and the dark, with most of them in the dark. Then again, there was a gap between them and the Du family. This time Mu Lanfeng had found a reason to make it hard for Du Jiusheng. "Hey, that idiot is here. What should we do?" Lung Yinsi didn't want to come to school in the afternoon, but he heard that Luo Qingchen had made Mu Xinyan cry from anger on her first day at school. He was a little worried, so he limped to school. "Are you afraid of him?" F***CK. Who knows what that person wants to do? What if he brings a group of gangsters with him? That would be a disgrace to the young master's identity. Then why are you here? I'll protect Qingshun. Whenever he thought of that night, when she stood in the rain with her hands in the pockets of her black and white dress, and the indifference in her eyes, his heart couldn't help but throb. She doesn't need your protection. He narrowed his eyes. His flickering eyes were able to see through Lung Yinsi completely. Indeed, he did have the so-called improper thoughts about that girl. The feeling of extreme displeasure spread through his blood like vines, swallowing his rationality bit by bit. His sister didn't need anyone to protect her. He was enough. His sister didn't need anyone else to think about her. He was enough. His sister didn't need anyone else to like her. He was enough. As for the people who wanted to bully her, not a single one could escape. Damn, that Luo Qingshun, scram out here for father. Daring to bully my little sister. Did you ask me? See, everyone in the class took a cold breath as their eyes fell onto Luo Qingshun. Chapter 1094. Beautiful people were blessed by the heavens more than others. For example, when she revealed that sweet smile, she could clearly feel Mu Lanfeng's face turning red. You are Luo Qingshun? Mu Lanfeng stuttered a bit, but he braced himself for his little sister as he angrily said, "Why did you bully my little sister? She is just a weak girl." When he said this, everyone in the class felt a little out of place. Even Mu Lanfeng himself felt a little out of place. Because Luo Qingshun, standing in front of him, looked so petite. She had the appearance of a lowly in those delicate hands. She didn't look like someone who would bully others at all. Her eyes were stunned as her lips curled into a faint smile. This kind of acting like a pig to eat a tiger. It really made people's blood boil. But the youth standing on the side wasn't willing to let her smile to others, so he cut her off. So what if she bullied your little sister? Du Jiusheng raised a brow as a chill came from his body. Du Jiusheng, don't go too far. Mu Lanfeng saw Du Jiusheng come out, and his aura instantly rose. Why was this girl who was suffocatingly beautiful related to Du Jiusheng? Why was this person so hateful? Even his little sister, who had high standards, was infatuated with this man. She simply had no eyes. Men should be like him, dark skin and large muscles. Only then would they feel safe. Du Jiusheng was just a gigolo. What was there to be infatuated with? If they really fought, he could crush him with a single pinky. Haven't you heard of this before? Du Jiusheng gave a cold laugh as his eyes filled with disdain. There was a dim sparkle in his dark eyes under his thick brows as he looked at him. Stop wasting words if you can make a move. You gigolo, do you dare 1v1 father with you? Damn, you really are trash. Mu Lanfeng kept cursing, making the girls in the class reveal looks of disgust. On the other hand, Du Jiusheng had an indifferent look, like he didn't treat this person as an opponent at all. No, he snorted coldly, his deep eyes filled with danger. Luo Qingshun could clearly feel that the hot water she had just poured into the thermos had already frozen. Ha ha ha, you piece of trash. Young master of the Mu family? 2 years ago, I didn't like you and was too lazy to hit you. 2 years later, you're still the same coward. I say, beautiful little sister, if you want to be with this kind of person, you might as well be with me. I'll definitely love you dearly. His somewhat rough voice resounded in every corner of the class. Luo Qingshun narrowed her eyes as she looked at Du Jiusheng, standing not far away. She could see the murderous intent in his eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Du Jiusheng pointed at the 4 people behind Mu Lanfeng and slowly said without any warmth in his voice, "Come together." He didn't care what that person said about him because he didn't deserve that person's attention. But if he used these insulting words to Luo Qingshun, he had the urge to break his neck and let out all his blood. This feeling was so strange, so terrifying, and it filled every inch of his blood. Beat the hell out of me. Chapter 1095. Pong. There was a large gust of wind outside the window, and everyone covered their eyes. Only Luo Qingshun narrowed her eyes and saw Du Jiusheng's every move. He didn't wait for Mu Lanfeng to finish as he charged in front of him and pushed him, shattering the railing in the corridor. Mulan Feng didn't have a chance to resist at all as he floated in the air outside the building, waving his hands and feet as he wailed. The surrounding temperature dropped to freezing, and there were snowflakes in the sky. She isn't someone you can casually talk about. Do you understand? Du Jiusheng narrowed his eyes with a dangerous look. He waved his right hand and threw Mulan Feng to the side, slamming him into the corridor. The two lackeys who were originally standing beside Mulan Feng were instantly dumbfounded. They were dumbfounded and their legs trembled nonstop. Mulan Feng was dripping with blood, and his eyes were filled with panic. Du Jiusheng had been too fast just now. Not only was it fast, even his strength was terrifying. Could it be that he practiced the Shaolin Temple's golden bell, iron cloth technique? You just wait. Before his voice fell, Mulan Feng ran away, not daring to look at him at all. The four lackeys behind him hurriedly caught up and disappeared at the end of the corridor. The surrounding wind stopped, and the feather-like snowflakes slowly fell down. Luo Qingshun put her hands in her pocket and turned to look at Du Jiusheng, as her eyes couldn't help misting over. It was this kind of feeling she had also been placed in the palm of his hand before. The gossipy whispers around her entered her ears, and she felt that those words were really true. My God, this old woman's young heart. How could school hunk Jiusheng take care of everyone with a single gust of wind? Did they break that railing in their fight? That's too amazing. I feel that school hunk Jiusheng is a demon who pampers his little sister. I'm so jealous. There was a sweet feeling that spread through her heart. Her eyes must be sparkling right now. It was very beautiful. After school, Dai Xiaopeng wanted to treat her to ice cream to school gate because she felt sorry for her. Luo Qingchun agreed after thinking about it. After all, this was a side quest. Even if it was a little difficult, he had to do his best. But what she didn't expect was that a familiar person was sitting in a corner of the ice cream shop. Chengmi Tang. Qing, your brother is so handsome today. I can't help but be envious. On this day, the fact that Du Jiusheng was Luo Qingchen's big brother was known to the entire third year of high school. Everyone's gossipy comments were, good genes are good, but who could explain why they had different surnames? Cough, cough. She cleared her throat and changed the topic. What kind of boys does little fatty like? After all, he was helping her find her true love. He had to know what kind of person the other party liked before he could cast a wide net and focus on catching them. Xiao Qing, your question isn't right. Dai Xiaopeng shook her head. She pouted her lips as she looked at her with an aggrieved look, looking defeated. Why is it wrong? She didn't feel that there was a problem with her question. You should ask, what kind of boy would like little fatty? Dai Xiaopeng pursed her lips and said, because no one likes me. Perhaps there are people who like you, but you don't know. Being fat has its charm. Chapter 1096. Luo Qingshun never thought that Dai Xiaopeng's ability to change the topic would be this good, directly throwing this topic to her. Honey in the corner heard their conversation and made a shu gesture to the person sitting in front of her before pressing the record button. Speak. I feel that the person Qing likes must be very good. Perhaps Xiaopeng will also like him. Dai Xiaopeng prayed with her hands as she looked at her with an infatuated look. There was a bit of awkwardness in the air as she said, as long as it's that person, I'll like him. No specific personality, no specific appearance, no specific identity. As long as it was him, she would like him. Wah! Dai Xiaopeng said in a daze. I thought that Qing would like a boy like school hunk Jiusheng. Him? Luo Qingshun looked up and revealed a faint smile. Probably everyone likes him. Who wouldn't like Du Jiusheng with that kind of obsession? That's right. Dai Xiaopeng pinched her chubby cheeks. I don't have that big of a goal. If I could really choose, I would like an honest boy. An honest boy? The kind that can save the world, the kind that can save the people. MMP. Could it be that this girl had read too many Xuanhuan novels? Nah. I've already told you a secret. You should also tell me a secret. Dai Xiaopeng lowered her voice and said, does Qing have someone she likes? There were many figures in her mind, clean, elegant, cold, and overbearing youths that appeared in front of her eyes. Finally, it stopped at a certain army green camouflage uniform. That young military commander with the M14. Yes. She scooped a spoonful of ice cream and said with a faint smile, "A very, very good person. Even better than school, hunk Jiusheng?" Hearing this question, Luo Qingshun was stunned. After a while, she looked up and said, even better than him." Although they were rivals at that time, although they loved each other and hated each other, he never doubted her. There was no need to act between them. They were all true to themselves. TSK, TSK, TSK. Dai Xiaopeng did not forget to tease him. "If there's a chance, I must meet the outstanding person that Qing mentioned." Luo Qingshun didn't expect that her conversation with Dai Xiaopeng would be used as a weapon to hurt her. In a certain VIP room of a bar, Mi Tang waved the phone in her hand and said with a smile, "Jiusheng, do you know that your baby little sister has someone she likes?" Du Jiusheng, who had been sitting in the corner, couldn't help narrowing his eyes. His dark eyes were bottomless. "What? Qing has someone she likes? Who is it?" Lung Yin Si, who was at the side, was the first to jump up, his expression somewhat displeased. Could the person she liked be her brother? Damn it, absolutely not. You'll know once you hear it. Honey put the phone on the glass table, and the conversation between Dai Xiaopeng and Luo Qingshun could be heard clearly. It was clear that the recording had been processed, so the sound was very clear. Each word was like an ear-piercing sound that entered Du Jiusheng's ears. When he heard her last sentence, the ice cubes that were about to melt in the cocktail in his right hand gradually froze. He coldly looked at Honey and narrowed his eyes as his heart turned cold. Chapter 1097. Does Qing have someone she likes? Yes, a very, very outstanding person. Even more outstanding than the charming school, hunk Jiusheng. Even more outstanding than him. That night, there was a large amount of snow in the sky. There was a carefully prepared present in the passenger seat of his luxurious Benz. After midnight tonight, it would be her 18th birthday. But at this moment, he was running at a speed of 200 kilometers per hour on the highway. His mind kept replaying the girl's words. She had someone she liked? Someone even more outstanding than him? What kind of person could win her heart? He had no clue, but he was very anxious. At this moment, the dark red color that burst out from his black eyes was so terrifying. At 11:50, his Benz stopped in front of his villa. His father and her mother had already gone on vacation, so other than the maid and housekeeper living in the east, she was the only one left. He picked up the pink plush doll in his right hand and walked towards her room step by step. Luo Qingshun's eyes trembled and her heart couldn't help beating faster. Even without the system, she had a vague premonition of what would happen in the future. This was a very bad premonition. Ko. There was a knock on the door. She held her breath for a second before asking, "Who is it?" "It's me." When Du Jiusheng's cool as water voice came out, she felt a bit assured. But when she opened the door, she knew that her premonition was very accurate. The youth standing in front of her had a strong wine fragrance. It was different from the aura of a drunkard. Rather, there was a cool mint fragrance mixed with cocktails that made people feel a bit dizzy after smelling it for a while. "Big brother, you drank well." Before Luo Qingshun could finish, Du Jiusheng threw the doll onto the bed and picked her up. He looked at the bed before looking at the clock on the wall. Finally, he took her to the sofa on the side and pressed her down. Time, 11:55 p.m. Luo Qingshun was a bit surprised, and her back couldn't help being covered in cold sweat. She looked up and said, "Did you drink too much?" "What? You don't even want to call me big brother?" Du Jiusheng's beautiful eyes narrowed. There was a cold breeze outside the window, and the bright moonlight shined down on his almost perfect face. Luo Qingshun could even smell the fruity fragrance of his breath, which made her heart tremble unconsciously. She was indeed not used to calling him brother, especially under such circumstances. It was hard to act as the obedient little sister, big brother. She frowned and said, "I think you drank too much." As soon as she finished speaking, she wanted to roll over and get up, but he held her down firmly. His right hand grabbed her fair wrist and placed it above his head. His entire body was half leaning on her. With a faint smile full of possessiveness, he said, I didn't expect my little sister's movement technique to be so good. The angle of the roll, just now, could be said to be perfect. If the person holding her down was not him, she would have escaped long ago. The next second, he took out his phone from his pocket with his left hand and threw it on the carpet. 3 seconds later, there was Luo Qingqian's voice that came from the phone. She knit her brows. Although the voice was clear, she could tell that it wasn't recorded far away from her, so it wasn't Dai Xiaoping. Could it be that there was someone else in the ice cream shop? Chapter 1098. She was a bit surprised, but she never thought that Du Jiusheng would focus on this. After all, in her eyes, the youth in front of her had done everything to make her fall in love with him, taking revenge for his little sister. Actually, she really wanted to tell him. She had lost from the beginning of the game. She owed him a life in her previous life, so it was impossible for her to win in this life. It was just that they were all deceiving themselves and others. She suddenly felt a bit aggrieved. The young man's grip on her wrist grew stronger and stronger. He stared into her eyes as if he wanted to swallow her whole. "The person I like." She bit her lip and said, "He must be very outstanding because he is." Woo! Before her voice fell, those cold lips covered the sky as they kissed her. She never thought that Du Jiusheng would do this to her. There was a faint cocktail taste in his mouth, slowly eroding all her defenses. Time, 11:58. He kissed her for a full 3 minutes before letting her go. Her moist lips were a bit red and swollen, but in his eyes, it was like a flower on the other side, swallowing his reason. "Du Jiusheng, what do you want to do?" She wanted to break free from his grasp, but she found that the other side was several times stronger than her. It was as if she had taken a strength pill. Even if she wanted to use her own movement technique to escape, there was no way for her to do so. "Do you really not want to be my little sister?" There was a dark shadow over his thick brows, and his dark eyes sparkled like obsidian. "I'm not your little sister to begin with. Is there any meaning in recording someone else's words?" Luo Qingqian took a deep breath and decided to waste her strength in struggling. But she didn't lose out in her words at all. Since the other side didn't want to act and wanted to tear off face, why would she act like a good little sister? She felt tired acting like a little white flower. "Yes, you're not my little sister to begin with." He leaned over and placed a kiss on her forehead as the possessiveness in his heart reached a limit. His eyes seemed to be burning with a raging fire as he looked at the girl who was firmly pressed under him and asked, "Who is the person you like?" After all, he was very clear that when he first saw this girl, his heart was filled with desire. He couldn't read her mind and couldn't see through her lies. He was so confused about everything about her. This kind of confusion almost made him forget the purpose of returning to the country and the hatred he bore. Only this heart was deeply imprisoned in place. Unable to love, unable to hate, whenever she spoke to him, she would always speak softly and softly. Her large eyes would twinkle like a luminous pearl in the night sky, making people unable to help but sink deep into them. And just when he realized that he couldn't control his feelings anymore, she actually said the person she liked was better than him. Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? He would never let that person appear again. He would never let anyone take her away. "Yes, I'm not your sister. Your sister died a long time ago." She bit her lip and said unwillingly, "Do you really love me like a sister, Student Du Jiusheng?" He coldly laughed and said, "Why would I have any love for the person rumored to have killed my sister?" He looked at the clock on the wall. Time, 12. Chapter 1099. Murder. She gave a soft laugh as her peerless face revealed a taunting smile as she looked at Du Jiusheng. "Classmate, Du Jiusheng doesn't need to say any rumors since they are facts, right?" At this moment, her heart felt like it was being overturned, and she didn't feel good. That day, Du Ling Er didn't die. The one who died was the previous host. Why couldn't she do that? People had the right to choose when they were in trouble. She stood on the previous host's side on this. The previous host didn't do anything wrong. "Luo Qingqian, who do you like? Answer me." Du Jiusheng's heart tightened. Seeing the tears in her eyes, the pain in his heart made him feel a bit suffocated. He didn't like seeing her aggrieved appearance. He wasn't even willing to use any strength on her right hand. There were indeed many strange things about Du Ling Er's death. Although he didn't know everything, he knew that it wasn't like the rumors, that it was Luo Qingshun who killed her, or perhaps it was the moment he saw her. The scales in his heart had strangely tilted, and he couldn't help believing. Right now, he just wanted to know the answer. Why did she like to say those irrelevant things to provoke him instead of giving him an answer? Do you really want to know the answer? She gave a cold laugh. There was an unreadable emotion in her clear eyes as she deeply looked at him. Suddenly, she seemed to know that the male lead of this world was a bit special. He could feel this special feeling. It was the same as the previous host. They were the same kind of people, the characteristic of a person who is so strongly attracted to something or someone that they cannot extricate themselves from. They are extremely possessive and have extreme thoughts or behaviors. This kind of person, there's a part of his heart that wanted to know the answer, but he was also afraid of knowing the answer. No. His deep eyes sparkled as his right hand took her waist and picked her up. I don't want to know. You. She was a bit surprised as she felt the ice-cold look in his eyes and the powerful aura that came from his body. Because, very soon, you will completely belong to me. That slightly cold voice, with a devilish laziness, entered her ears bit by bit. No one could take her away. There was no one in this world that could take her away from his hands. Her smile, her gentleness, her fondness, and her thumping heart, everything belonged to him alone. When Luo Qingshun came back to her senses, she was already pressed down on the soft bed, and there was a large pink doll beside her. That sculpted face came over and with a bit of anger. It sealed her lips. She had just become an adult, and her mind was blank. She could only hear his deep panting and the intoxicating scent on his body. Du Jiusheng, I am your little sister. This was what she said in a muffled voice while being kissed. There was an indescribable sadness in his heart. It was indeed the person he liked. It was indeed the love of his past and present life. But can you not use this method? In name, she was still his little sister. Even if they had different parents, they couldn't act like this. Chapter 1100. He had a smile, a terrifying smile that was like a taboo as he looked at her. Little sister? The person I love, even if it's my blood-related little sister, I will love her regardless of anything. What about you? Who is the person you like? His voice was very long, but his hands didn't stop moving, invading every inch of her territory. She had countless words that she wanted to say in her mind, but every time they reached her throat, they would be stuck in her throat, and she would not be able to say them. There is only one thing that she could say: you aren't worthy of being called Du Jiusheng. She tightly bit her lip and said in a hoarse voice that made people's hearts hurt. In the next second, sparkling and translucent tears fell from the corners of her eyes, drop by drop falling onto the neat bed. It was only at this moment that he stopped all his actions and saw her expression clearly. Her slightly curled hair was a bit messy, and her doll's pajamas had already been torn to pieces. Her hands were tightly restrained above her head by one of his hands. Her cheeks were filled with stubborn tears, as if she was a broken doll. Compared to the big doll beside her, she looked very dirty and pitiful. Who? A long sigh sounded in her ears. He didn't keep bullying her in the end. He took the blanket from the bed and wrapped her up, letting her lean against the doll's stomach. Luo Qingshun closed her eyes and wanted to say something, but he cut her off. Sorry. His trembling voice was filled with deep regret for her, but his heart was still filled with waves, and the urge to take her didn't decrease at all. But he should protect her and not hurt her, right? This was Luo Qingshun's first time seeing Du Jiusheng like this, a defeated look like he had been hollowed out. At that moment, if Du Jiusheng was just acting to make her fall in love with him, she would accept her fate. She didn't care if she won or lost. But there were some words that she wanted to say to him. She wanted to heal his wounds and his unsettled heart. Du Ling Er isn't mine, not important. The person I said I liked in the recording, it's not important. His slender fingers gently stroked her head, and his face was full of tenderness as he looked at her and said, no matter who you used to like, can you change the person you like to me now? Out of thousands of words, He ended it with such a sentence that made her instantly speechless. She never thought that a dazzling man like Du Jiusheng would put away all his sharpness for a single person. How strong must his heart be to be able to say such compromising words to her in such a lowly manner? Or it could be said that he liked her very much. Okay. She nodded and reached out her small hand from under the blanket, gently grabbing his slender fingertips. In the next second, he was stunned and threw himself into her arms. He hugged her tightly through the quilt. If a young man drank alcohol and almost lost all rationality, he could still stop all his actions and not continue. That proves that he really cares about you. What's more, he was a flawed and sick teenager. Suddenly, he was afraid of himself. He was afraid that his inexplicable desire to restrain and possess her would hurt her. He was afraid that he would sink deeper and continue to indulge in her. Chapter 1101. She slept very well that night, and when she woke up in the morning, Du Jiusheng was no longer in the room. The sun shined in through the window, and she saw the pink doll in her arms. It was a doll that was the same size as her. It had clear eyes, long eyelashes, curly hair, and a lace princess skirt. So, is this a birthday present? She muttered to herself in a soft voice. Since it was the weekend, the alarm didn't ring. She looked at the clock on the wall and found that it was almost noon. She quickly got up to take a shower and came out in a moon-white undershirt. When she was prepared to open the closet, there was a knock on the door. Big brother? Her voice was a bit normal. It wasn't as soft as before. This fake play turned into a real play had successfully come to an end. Who won and who lost? It seemed hard to say. Is it convenient? Before she could answer, Du Jiusheng opened the door and came in. He was dressed very formally. Luo Qingshan tilted her head, and her face couldn't help turning red. He really was so handsome that it mesmerized people. What do you want to wear? His gaze scanned her upper body from top to bottom. Looking at her exquisite figure, he said with a faint smile, "You're so small, but your figure is... Hey, enough." She felt the blush on her face spread to her ears. It was very fast, completely out of control. Since last night, it was like Du Jiusheng had taken off a mask and didn't have the attitude of spoiling his little sister. Rather, there was an aura that tugged at people's heartstrings. It was the feeling of flirting with his little sister. I never thought that our little sister Qing would be this shy. Du Jiusheng slowly came forward and stood beside her, as his eyes fell onto her luxurious closet. Big brother, are you helping me pick out clothes? Luo Qingshan thought that since he was dressed this formally today, he should have a place to go. You really are a lullicon. He muttered to himself before taking out a blue and pink winter dress from the closet. He turned around, put on her head, and put it on her body. His actions were done in one go, without the slightest bit of obstruction. At this time, Luo Qingshan was like a doll next to her, letting her master dress her. I'll wear it myself. She touched her ears in embarrassment. Du Jiusheng replied. He took her by the shoulder and pulled up the zipper on her back. You move so fast, she muttered in jealousy. Du Jiusheng replied. His right hand naturally picked up the hairdryer, and his left hand pressed her down. She sat down on the bed with a thud. All of a sudden, she really felt like she was being pampered in the palm of his hand. It warmed her heart. What shampoo do you use? OGX. Luo Qingshan's nose twitched. She could smell the strong fragrance of cherry blossoms. This time, he dragged out the last syllable of the word. Then he said, next time, let's change it. Why? You don't like cherry blossoms. Luo Qingshan slightly knit her brows, looking a bit confused. After all, how could cherry blossoms smell good when they were this light? They should be loved by everyone. Chapter 1102. Change. Luo Qingshan immediately understood his meaning as she pursed her lips and said, I'll change it to chocolate next time. Why did she feel that this kind of paranoid and sickly youth had a kind of black-bellied aura? His mind was filled with all sorts of messy thoughts. Be good. He leaned over and sealed it with a kiss. Change your lipstick too? I'm afraid that I won't be able to stop kissing you. Luo Qingshan was kissed by him, and her heart skipped a beat. But she didn't forget to refute, I haven't put on lipstick yet. Her lips were this red because of a certain person's bad behavior last night. How could he be shameless enough to point fingers at her today? She didn't know if she should say him in her heart or not. Oh, he dragged out a long word. Then it seems like I can't leave you in the future. As soon as his voice fell, he put down the hairdryer. His left hand hugged her waist and placed her on a large doll. His right hand grabbed her neck and kissed her without any warning. This kind of frequent kissing, it was like he said he didn't want to leave for a second. Do? Luo Qingshun wanted to refute, but her mouth was blocked by him again. Other than the sound of sobbing, she couldn't say anything else. Suddenly, she felt that this youth was very clingy. You should be glad that I don't know what you're thinking. He left her lips and said, otherwise we might both drop out of school and stay at home. Du Jiusheng, can you be normal? Luo Qingshun looked at him innocently as she stuttered, I am your little sister, but I just want to kiss you. He gave a shrug, and his beautiful face that was like a jade sculpture looked a bit aggrieved. Very, very much. He had already discovered the abnormal love of the Du family. This kind of terrifying thought had completely occupied his mind. He wanted to be with her every second, not caring about what others thought. As long as he could hug her and kiss her, it was like nothing in this world mattered to him, including life, including death, including himself. No. Luo Qingshun shook her head decisively and said, my mother and uncle are coming back from their vacation. If we do this in front of them, they will be angry. I don't care. He didn't care at all. Because of Luo Qingshun's existence, he had already forgiven that woman for interfering in his family. But to ask him to care about their feelings, sorry, he couldn't do it. Du Jiusheng. Luo Qingshun turned her head to the side and angrily pursed her lips. All right, I surrender. Right now, he simply couldn't bear to see her suffer any grievances. Sorry, he can't do it. He retracted his words and changed his tone. Then what do you think we should do? I just can't control myself. I want to kiss you. I still want to... Luo Qingshun cleared her throat and cut off his following words. She looked at him with a serious look and said, you can kiss me. Ah, it's a distant kiss. She pursed her lips and made 2 kisses to demonstrate to him. This you're not willing. Of course he wasn't willing, but his actions were different from what he thought. Chapter 11:03. In the luxurious Benz, she looked at Du Jiusheng with a questioning look. Where are we going? Although she knew that they were going to a certain banquet, she really didn't have any good feelings towards Honey's group. You'll know when we get there. Du Jiusheng raised his right hand and gently patted her head as his lips curled. This was probably the state he liked the most. That stubborn girl would always be by his side. The luxurious Benz stopped in a Bollywood Lolita-style restaurant. There were 4 people standing on the left and 4 people on the right, as if they were waiting for her. Little princess, you're getting out. Du Jiusheng got out and opened the door for her. He gently took her hand and led her into the restaurant. Good afternoon, Mr. Du. Good afternoon, Miss Luo. The male waiters on the left spoke in unison, and the female waiters on the right spoke in unison. Luo Qingshun gave a soft laugh, really giving off the feeling of a princess. There was a faint lavender scent in the long hallway of the restaurant, and the melodious classical music filled their ears, creating a beautiful atmosphere. Happy 18th birthday. As soon as Du Jiusheng's voice fell, the dark hall instantly lit up. Other than the 2 of them, there were no other guests in the restaurant. This was the rite of passage he had specially prepared for her. The white round table was in the center of the restaurant, and there were colorful balloons all around it. There was a pure white piano on the stage. This was simply a pink and white paradise, filled with the dreams of a young girl. When I was decorating this restaurant, I was thinking that you wouldn't like this style. Du Jiusheng shook his head with a bit of frustration before saying with a smile, it's a pity that I don't know what you think. Luo Qingshun sat down in front of him and shook the wine on the table. I like 92 brandy. As expected, he gave a soft laugh as his lips curled into a beautiful curve. Our little princess likes the dark style. Unhumph. Luo Qingshun looked up with a faint guang in her clear eyes. I can control anything. Violence was her nature. She could act cute and obedient. For someone like her who had been a film empress twice, she was quite experienced. Acting was a piece of cake. If time could be frozen, she hoped that this plane would be frozen at this moment. A space that only belonged to the two of them. A world that only belonged to the two of them. Ding-ling. An urgent ringtone interrupted the atmosphere. She glanced at the phone screen. The moment she picked it up, her brows furrowed slightly. Ching, ching. Dai Xiaopeng's urgent cry for help came from the other end of the phone. Luo Qingshan wanted to say something, but there was a sharp voice that came from the former schoolflower, Mu Xinyan. This little fatty said that you're prettier than me during the tutoring session today. I think she's wrong. What do you think? Mu Xinyan's voice was a bit strange, and Luo Qingshan could naturally hear the sourness in it. I think what she said is very reasonable. In the next second, she narrowed her cold eyes and said, "Don't you know what you look like?" In terms of beauty, she indeed threw Mu Xinyan away by several streets. Or perhaps his appearance had reached a new height that no one could compare to. Chapter 1104. As soon as her voice fell, she hung up, and there was the ding-ling sound of WeChat. There were pictures from Dai Xiaopeng's WeChat. Her face was swollen, and her right eye was bloodshot. Her face was swollen like a pig's head. She should have been beaten up. Looking at the pictures one by one, there was a message from Mu Xinyan. If you want to save her, go to the abandoned factory to the north of the southern park. If you don't arrive in an hour, she won't be able to keep her swollen face. The Mu family mixed in with the black and white. Du Jiusheng and Mu Lanfeng had a grudge before, so it wasn't impossible for them to do something against the law. Let's go, I'll go with you. All right. Ding-ling. There was the sound of a cell phone ringing again. But this time it wasn't Luo Qingshan's cell phone that rang. Rather, it was Du Jiusheng. There was a series of unfamiliar numbers on the other side. He narrowed his eyes and felt that something bad was about to happen. After picking up, there was a rough man's voice that came from the other side. This voice was a bit familiar, no. It should be very familiar. Du Jiusheng, hello, Mu Lanfeng said with a cold laugh. It seems like your beautiful little sister should have received an invitation from our little sister. If I didn't invite you, it would seem like our Mu family doesn't have any grace. Unhumph. Du Jiusheng's eyes turned cold as a dangerous look appeared in his deep eyes. His lips curled as he said, "You're worthy of being gracious?" Du Jiusheng, I'm telling you, don't be arrogant. My dad and your dad's girl are in my hands. With a single order from me, they will go see the king of hell. Do you understand? Mu Lanfeng was clearly a bit angry, so his words were a bit fierce. It seemed like Du Jie and Xiao want to come back early. They had gone abroad to take a vacation and to discuss a large contract. It was worth $1 billion. The boss of this contract wanted to cooperate with the Mu group, but this time they changed sides and cooperated with the Du group. Musin was so angry that he fell sick in bed. Mu Lanfeng was very angry about this. After investigating the time when the Du couple would return, he took them away at the airport. Then I should thank you. Du Jiusheng narrowed his eyes as his deep eyes dimmed. He said in a cold voice, "After all, I have wanted to inherit the Du group for a long time." He wasn't wrong. Everyone in the business circle knew that Du Jiusheng and Du Jie didn't have a good relationship. Adding in the accidental death of her little sister, the blame was all pointed at Du Jiusheng's new wife's daughter. Under such circumstances, the light element between him and Tribulation Transcendence should have reached the freezing point. But now, it seemed to be different. All right, Du Jiusheng, just you wait. Mu Lanfeng hung up the phone angrily. Then he sent a few photos to Du Jiusheng on WeChat. Mu Lanfeng wasn't fierce. He didn't beat Dai Xiaopeng like Mu Xinyan. He simply tied the two of them up and placed them under a killing machine with a time bomb beside it. The location was in the opposite direction of where Dai Xiaopeng was locked up. It seemed like they came prepared. I'll have Yin Si take care of Xiaopeng. Du Jiusheng narrowed his eyes. You'll come with me to the wilderness in North Ridge. Lung Yin Si. Luo Qingshan knit her brows and shook her head in a worried manner. Forget it. He might be kidnapped like this. She wasn't looking down on Lung Yin Si since she knew how he reacted to danger. Chapter 1105. You're going alone? Du Jiusheng looked at her with tightly knit brows, clearly not planning on letting her go alone. Oh no. Be assured. No. Du Jiusheng. Luo Qingchun said in a spoiled voice. Big brother, be assured. I never do things that I'm not confident in. Even if there was no system, no powers, no exchange points, nothing. If she wanted to deal with someone like Mu Xinyan, she would just need to spend a bit of time and the result wouldn't change. Du Jiusheng narrowed his eyes and wanted to reject her. But seeing her determined eyes, he felt that he should believe her. After all, the current him could believe her unconditionally. All right, Xiao Nan and Xiao Bei will go with you. Xiao Nan and Xiao Bei were the two bodyguards of the Du family. They had strong figures and weren't small at all. No need. Luo Qingchun shook her head. It's not interesting if there's someone helping, but I'm worried that you won't understand. Du Jiusheng tightly knit his brows as his eyes filled with worry. He was very conflicted. He wanted to believe her, but his heart was in his throat. This feeling, he had never felt it before. This was his first time feeling that he was different from others in this world. He was actually a bit helpless. Big brother, I'm just going to scout ahead. I'll wait for you to come and slap your face. Oh no, I'll wait for you to come and make a decision. Luo Qingchun made a face as her lips curled. Damn, she almost said what she was thinking. In the end, under her determination, Du Jiusheng compromised. He really spoiled her to the point of being lawless. He would rather have his heart in his throat than go against what she wanted to do. So liking someone could be like this, he never thought that it would be like this. He always thought that he was a male chauvinist, but now he found that as long as she was happy, she could do anything. Just hide outside and watch. Use your phone to track your position. Du Jiusheng picked her up from the chair and seriously kissed her. We'll talk about everything when I'm there. Okay. She made a hand gesture. She already couldn't hold back the power inside her. She wanted to fight. However, everything should be done within one's means. When she stood in front of the abandoned factory on the north side of the southern suburb park, she considered the condition of this body. It wasn't very good, but it wasn't bad either. There was probably some sort of bug in the stamina point's maximum point. After all, there wasn't the thrill of having infinite strength in reality. However, there was one thing that deserved a perfect score of 100. It was just that this body was really light. In the past, she would need to use a lot of strength to do a backflip. However, she felt that this body used very little strength to dodge this part of the body. There was a bit of rain and snow in the sky. She held a pair of high-tech glasses and looked at the situation in the abandoned factory. Dai Xiaopeng was locked up in the warehouse on the 4th floor. Mu Xinyan was very confident in herself, only bringing 4 large men with her. She pressed the red button on her glasses and scanned the mechanical item. He didn't see any guns or anything like that. Apart from a few 10-meter-long broadswords, they didn't have enough killing power and were very blunt. It wasn't difficult to deal with them, but Dai Xiaopeng's situation didn't look good. She narrowed her eyes and pressed the blue button to scan Dai Xiaopeng's body. Chapter 1106. Looking at his phone, he left a message for Du Jiusheng before heading into the factory. The message was, charge, 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 asterisk caret, caret asterisk. After all, with Dai Xiaopeng's situation, it was best to send her to the hospital immediately. Otherwise, if she went into shock, it would cause irreversible damage to her organs. The furry snow boots felt very soft when stepping on the snow. Mu Xinyan seemed to hear footsteps coming up the stairs, so she vigilantly turned around. Luo Qingchun had her hands in the pockets of her moon-white coat, leaning against the rotten railing. She looked at her with a lazy look and said, "Why do I feel that you're more nervous than me?" Mu Xinyan was scared by her, and her face turned a bit pale. Even with the 4 large men in front of her, her lips couldn't help trembling. Dai Xiaopeng, who was tied to the chair, seemed to hear something, and her swollen face looked up, but she couldn't say a single word. You're alone?" Mu Xinyan kept looking back as her heart filled with uneasiness. Without knowing why, when she saw Luo Qingchun come out alone with a relaxed look, her heart filled with fear. "To deal with you, I need a few more people." Luo Qingchun took out a whip from behind her, and a dangerous aura came from her. The whip was bought when she passed by the weapon hall. Most people used it as a collection or decoration. There were very few people who used it for fighting like her. but she was very good at using the whip. Although it didn't have as much spiritual energy as the 9-section moon whip, it still felt quite good when she held it in her hand. Luo Qingsheng, you think that you can save people with a broken whip? What a joke. Mu Xinyan crossed her arms and raised her head, letting her aura show off. After all, she had the advantage now, so of course she had the right to be arrogant. Whether it can save people or not, won't you know once you try? Luo Qingsheng gave a shrug and gave a yawn. Quickly attacked together. Mu Xinyan felt humiliated at this moment, and her blood couldn't help boiling. She said to the 4 large men, "Beat him to death for me. I'll take responsibility if he dies." Du Jiusheng was the man Mu Xinyan liked. No one could steal him. What right did this person in front of her have to snatch away her school belle title and the man she had loved for so many years? No, convinced. Today, she must make him crawl at her feet and beg for mercy. "Yes, miss." The 4 big men answered in unison. They didn't even bother to pick up their big swords and swung their bare fists at her. "You're overestimating yourself." Luo Qingsheng narrowed her cold eyes and lightly leaped onto the shoulder of one of the big men. She grabbed his neck with both legs and forcefully twisted, causing him to fall to the ground. At the same time, the long whip in her hand lashed out at another big guy. The long whip coiled around her legs, and with a forceful tug, she fell heavily to the ground. The remaining 2 looked at each other in blank dismay. They couldn't help taking a step back and squatting down to pick up the swords on the ground. After all, they never thought that this girl who they could casually push down would have such shocking movement skills and strength. Luo Qingsheng pursed her lips, and her breathing couldn't help becoming faster. After all, she didn't use any special abilities and just used her strength to deal with the big men. It was a bit hard. But it was just a bit hard.